Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I am Inquisitor Temperance Pryce, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the second volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesys Adaptation of Warhammer 40k's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Ryan LaPlante and players Tom McGee as Interrogator Nero Abagnale, Laura Elizabeth as Piper Fairley, Tyler Hewitt as Seth Corbyn, and Borovic as Sister Olianne Mina. The Inquisitorial band was once again forced to make difficult decisions. Owing Lucia Bane of favour, Seth tried to persuade the rest that Vance was Homo Novus and must be executed despite a lack of evidence. Piper agreed mainly to protect Seth from Nero finding out about the favour, and an overly-medicated Olianne was thrilled at the idea of bloodshed. What will Vance's death mean if Krungus Marcus is in fact Homo Novus? Find out next, in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
An audio recording from the personal notes of Fabius Bile. It is not love that guides my hand, but necessity. If 100 must die to preserve 1,000, so be it. If 1,000,000 here must perish to preserve potential billions in the future, then I will gladly cut their throats myself. I will do what must be done, whatever the cost. There's a bit of an ethos mix here between Fabius Bile and the Inquisition, because you all know that sometimes you have to do what must be done no matter the cost. And what you have done this night is destabilize a house that is at the core of the Artis system. Roberto Vance is dead, and over the rest of the quick propaganda that you engage with before you carry on your night, you learn that the Vance family and house are being taken over by House Cologne. Obviously, this will not be an easy transition because Vance is not going to be willingly passed into new hands, but it does leave the ruler that you've seen be relatively sane compared to the rest, even though he's insane in public, with some more political clout if he can stabilize this under him. However, this is the end of an intense evening. You are back in your apartment. And before anything else can happen, as the vidcast is playing on one of the big screens in your room, the front door opens and Warden enters. A little bit singed on his outfit. There's some smoke and ash you can see on the side of his face, but he is otherwise completely uninjured. What do any of you say to Warden?
Oh, welcome back. You look marvelous.
Oh yeah, hey, welcome. Glad to see you made it. There, champ? And I'll just give him a weird look like Nero doesn't really know what affectionate term to use with Warden, but he tries for that, just pats him on the arm.
Is there any possibility that Warden could be compromised? As I think of him as in some cases, he seems sort of almost like a walking computer, sort of like just receiving commands and executing them. Is there any way that in this absence and him being, on the run, that any kind of surveillance device or anything that would compromise his typical kind of, I wouldn't say moral code, but the way he's basically been conditioned to behave?
All right, yeah. I'll give you a pitch.
Immediately, Seth is like,
yeah, I don't think you need to roll for this one because I think Seth is fully aware of ways people can be corrupted and suborned. He's not a mechanicus or a servitor in that sense, so there would be a way to reprogram him. His enhancements don't actually extend into his brain. They are physical and bodily, not otherwise. The only way someone could change his behavior, you're aware he has been psycho-indoctrinated and spent his whole life serving exactly the purpose that he serves, like trained to be a combat monster to protect/destroy psychers. So he has no family, he has no friends, he has no interest in money. He's essentially a religious fanatic. So he's not somebody who could be bribed or blackmailed. They'd be like, we'll take the psyker away or give up. And he'd just shoot Piper and be like, good, terrorists won't have her, and then fight. Psychic control would be the only thing that he might not be able to resist. You're not aware of just into having that. It's theoretically possible, but the only person to be able to figure that out would be Piper.
Okay. All right. Then after kind of mulling that over, Seth would rather coolly just say, welcome back.
And Warden raises a hand and taps on his arm and says, distraction mission accomplished. And then he just goes and stands behind terrifying Zardaw's meat Hulk Piper.
Right.
Yeah, it's about time to get me out of this fucking thing, right? Right? Yes. All right. And then, like, is Ignatius, like, nearby?
Ignatius and Invictus have both returned to the building after you did. There was time for transition. They didn't need to stay to wrap up the case. Once the decision is made, Ignatius is an important person in the Magos Biologist, but in terms of Inquisitorial retinue, he is just here to help. So he trucked back immediately, and Invictus can look over files from where he is. He doesn't seem to have expressed any interest in like overturning your decision. He's going to stand by the Inquisition. So they are both in the floors of the Bolter Express. So Invictus is one floor below you, and Ignatius is the 2 floors below that.
Yeah, I'm just like, just kind of signal to, I mean, as much as I can. I guess it's like talking in their minds, right? That I decided I'm doing. So it's like, all right, well, time to get like the bomb out and this like fucking monstrosity off me. So
I think
someone take me down.
Yeah, I think Mina would step in, both because she's been pushing the wheelchair around and also she has to return the bomb switch. So she'd be like, all right, yes, that sounds like something that needs to be done then. Is Warden coming?
Yeah, Warden's not going to leave Piper's side. So Warden is just like, Warden takes his hands off of the wheelchairs thing and steps to the side so you can push it.
Yep.
And then he's just cradling his hell pistol, ready to rock. I'm imagining they're going downstairs. Nero or Seth, are you going to accompany them or are you going to stay up here?
Seth sees no reason to accompany them.
Yeah, I think I would go just because Ignatius is my bud. And I'm also invested in getting Piper out of this thing. So, Mina and I have some skin burning plans. So, want to make sure I'm not late to that party. So yeah, Nero will go too.
Cool. So all 3 of you go down to the 3rd floor of the building. So you pass Invictus's floor, probably all feeling slightly better about it as you see the number tick from 4 to 3, because even knowing he's there has an effect on you. And you end up in Ignatius's, for lack of a better term, parlor, the room where he's got a lot of his gizmos and materials with his surgical suite off to the side. And he trucks out floating as he does, because he doesn't have legs. And he's like, you're here, so I guess it's time for us to get you out of this meat bag.
Yes, immediately, please, now.
Okay, the only question I have for you is, do you want to upgrade anything to metal? Because the flesh is weak, but the iron is strong.
What can you offer me?
Whatever you want. I've got a lot of upgrades. Admittedly, I do have to take the flesh off to do it, but it really comes down to like, what do you think's kind of useless? I'm going to tell you, it's most of the human body. Again, he has just teeth exposed and a little bit of flesh around the mouth. His whole head is metallic.
I honestly, hearing that laugh, I'm like, fuck, I don't need to go like more bionic than like my already bionic legs. So I'm like, can you just like put me back, honestly, like the way everything was? Just like,
sure, I'll do that.
Exactly as it was.
If anything goes wrong, that's when you'll get the robot parts. Question, Inquisitor. We have 1 Resuscitrix available here for a member of your party to use, and I have talked to the governor, well, I guess his son, and he has a Resuscitrix available in the Citadel, which would mean 2 members of your party could be put into a Resuscitrix. Obviously, if we use one for Piper, it'll kind of, I don't want to say guarantee, because there are no guarantees when it comes to the human body, but it'll suggest that we might not have any complications from surgery. But then it's just who else do you think needs the most healing up? You all look like you've had a time.
Yeah,
my scans
I've had like a serious
trauma.
time. So like, I would like, yes, literally like erase like the last week from my body. That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I've woken up feeling like that sometimes too, Piper. I get it. So if we can do that, get her back in fighting form, that'd be great. And then, hey, sister, I mean, I know you got a little bit of healing earlier, but as the heavy in our group, you tend to take the most hits. What do you say we get you patched back up, huh?
Well, I feel fine right now, but if you think that's wise, then I agree with you.
Yeah, look, if the guy who's mostly metal and kind of hates the flesh is looking around and telling us we look like shit, I think that means we probably look like shit. So, yeah, let's get some more stim packs or whatever in you and get you back in fighting form.
Fabulous. I will call the ground car around from Eve Nuln so that you can make your way to the Governor's Citadel for treatment overnight and then get right back here in the morning. It won't be a problem. Also, the message has been already sent. I'm looped into the noosphere. Let's take some meat off of you. And he just hovers over and shoves the wheelchair into the side room, and surgery begins. Because you have dedicated... Okay, I'm going to roll the check for the surgery just because I can, but it's going to be an obscene amount of bonuses because you've also got the resuscitrix.
I do want to tell him, I do want to just like at the last second be like, oh, by the way, when I said erase, I only meant like bodily harm. Like literally don't fuck with my mind. To be clear.
Oh, this is good that you told me because you told me to take off a week too because we only did this yesterday. So it's hard to do rejuvenate treatments that only take you back like 7 days. It's more like, 100 years are locking you in a physical stasis. And I don't know how that would work with your powers. This was going to be a fun experiment, but now I'll just do my job.
Wow. Okay. So I have to be like super literal. Great. Okay. No, that's great. That's great.
Okay. And then he just says, time for sleeps. And he doses you. So you're unconscious because now he realizes you're going to talk too much during the surgery. So because of the resuscitrix's help, he will be rolling 5 yellow against a difficulty of 3 purple with 2 boost. So that's what we're finding out here. I'm going to upgrade one of those using a story point because I feel like there should be risk in this surgery.
What? The bomb? The bomb's in my head is risky?
I don't know why.
It's beside my head, but yeah.
Okay, 1 success, 7 advantage, and a triumph. You are all amazed from the outside because you're aware how not great this product was when she came out. So as you sit for this, I would say half-hour stretch, it's much shorter than the previous surgery. You're able to smell burning flesh. You can hear cauterization. There are laser beams firing. You see that red light spray out the side. At one point, you hear a chainsaw, but you're not sure how big it is because he's a small guy, but he's really strong. And then you just see him carry out Piper. Totally normal Piper. You cannot even tell there was a surgery. There are no scars. There's absolutely no trace. And then he takes her over and just sets her down in a resuscitrix and says, it went well. I didn't kill her. And she's unharmed. So Piper, tomorrow you will get your full resuscitrix worth of healing because triumph. So you will heal 3 health points wounds, however we want to say it, which is what you get for being in a resuscitrix. And you will wake up refreshed. And, oh man, I got to look up a rule for this one. Then he turns to Nero. Nero, did you had a grenade before, right?
I've been out of grenades for some time, yes.
Fabulous. He takes the bomb that he had originally placed in Piper's head, and he gives it to you, and he just says, it seemed like you had a grenade before when I scanned you, and now you don't. So here's one, and if she gives you that little button thing, you can throw it and then set it off whenever you want.
Hey, that's great. Every good inquisitorial party needs a requisitions person, and I feel like you just requisitioned me a grenade. That's pretty great. Also, the surgery was good, like good work there. But this, and I looked down at it, like it's the greatest gift I've ever received. And I just smiled and I said, this means a lot. I won't forget this.
Oh, that's good. I like being here way better than with Cathane, who would make me do bad things. Okay. I've got to go talk to Seth because he had a secret mission for me, but you guys have a nice time. And then you hear that little whirring sound as he floats over to the elevator to go upstairs. Piper, you were asleep. So that's just what you're doing as the cost of all of your healing. Warden just pulls up a chair next to the resuscitrix and crosses his arms and sits and does that action hero sleeping in a chair facing the door with a gun in hand thing. Very standard Warden. Meanwhile, upstairs, Seth, what are you doing in this moment of calm that you have without the rest of the party present?
I think if I was able to, I would call Lucia Bane on our Voxcom.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, I would make a call to her. Basically, I don't know if you want to act out or not, but it would basically be like, we're square, essentially,
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely. Of course we're square. Now we're friends. You've done these things. You've proven yourself to be a very useful asset. And that may sound like I'm looking down on you as an asset. But the thing to me is assets are valuable and need to be protected. So no, I'm around. We can trade favors in future. You can request them. This is the joy of having a powerful friend.
That's comforting to know, Lucia.
Wonderful. So now just focus on the race and make me the governor. And then I'll have even more power that I can turn around and use on your behalf.
Lucia, before you go, there's one thing I would like you to think on, keep in mind. And that is any unusual activity within your own house. I should like to know about it. As a friend and asset, I may be able to assist or investigate.
Interesting. Is there anyone in particular I should be keeping an eye out for?
You may cast a net as wide as you wish.
I haven't had to do a mole hunt in a while. This will be fun. We'll get to do some executions and clean up the trash. Well, you have yourself a good night. Now I don't need to sleep because I've got some fun to do.
And Seth, still, I think, a little unnerved by Lucia's aloofness and how she could crush him with one hand. Well, I think just end the call.
Yeah.
Not like good night, not goodbye, just end transmission.
Classic movie hang-up. And you just hear a voice from behind you say, "Yes, I understand that you're making deals and friends for the Inquisition." You turn around. I think startled in that way Dwight is when Angela surprises him and says, fuck, and it's Invictus, who somehow got into your apartment and is standing only a foot and a half from you. He's way too close.
Yeah. It is the startled, oh, fuck, and then the, disappointed and dismayed, oh, shit.
Well, you left me with a task, and the Inquisition never forgets. You wanted me to do further research into the myth of Cornos and Isabella.
Yes. What have you uncovered?
Well, let's find out, Tyler, so we can do a nice little roll for this one.
Super.
God, I fucking love it. This is great.
So we will use, it'll be 3 yellow and a boost will be his score.
You want me to build
against
this pool?
difficulty 3.
You want me to build this up?
Yeah, let's
3
do
yellow
that.
and a boost, difficulty 3. Okay.
And then right now, the story points, just so you all know at the end of this night as it's played out, you have 4 and I have 1 currently.
Ooh. Well, I would err on saving. Yeah, I'm not going to use 1 for this roll. Because what's he going to do? Be like, I uncovered that you're a heretic, and he just shoots me in the face? Nah, we're fine. So
he does not have his melt-a-gun with him. I'll tell you that.
So I'm gonna roll just as is. I'm not gonna use a story point. We'll save those for the race or whatever is going on tomorrow. Okay. Roll?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 successes, 2 advantages.
Nice.
Okay.
He doesn't know I'm a heretic.
I have heard back from another source. There was a chance. If I'd only had, one could say, half of the success I did, it would not have paid off. But this one. So I heard back from another Inquisitor who has an updated translation of the portion of the myth of Cornos and Isabella I had given you previously. He leans in too close, and with a strong smell of garlic, and you assume some kind of fish, he relays the updated translation. So it turns out there were subtle mistranslations in the previous versions. This one begins, young Count Cornos, the one-eyed knight, with vorpal blades the darkness did fight. He had lost an eye, and with it his mind, stripped of his memory, his fate unaligned. Blind to his past, with danger ahead, a creature lunged forth, and his barons made dead. Riding forth in the night, with no endgame in place, the witch Isabella joined him in his chase. They entered the woods, facing challenges thrice, and found the beast waiting to take its blood price. And that's all they've got. There's an ellipsis. No one's translated the next section, but I sent in a request.
Are there any existing theories on the nature or identity of this beast that Kornos and Isabella go to face?
It is deep mythology, but one knows of the Eldari that their fears are the chaotic and the warp-fueled. That is why they created the webway, so they would not have to journey into its hellish depths.
So the beast could be quite a literal daemon, or...
Yes, it is possible, or it could be some kind of Xenos beast, or it could be some kind of metaphor for their struggles with their parents or whatever else pathetic idiocy those aliens do. I hate Xenos!
So it could be anything. Well, shit.
Yes.
Right.
Now you know what I know, for I have done my job. I am the Inquisition.
And he
Yes, that's quite enough. Thank you.
strides out. He's so infuriating, you yell that at him as he leaves.
Yeah.
And a moment later, Ignatius Ironforth hovers in. I do want to ask, Nero, if you had heard that Ignatius had been looking something up for Seth, would you follow Ignatius upstairs so you could find out what was going on? Or would you want to say something to Sister Mina before she exits?
I think Nero would know better than to fuck with a Seth operation. Just because, like, knowing that Nero is not an aid to such things, I would probably stay out of it. Knowing full well I could just go ask Ignatius later if I needed to.
That's true.
But also realistically, Seth's machinations are kind of his own. So no, I think I'd let him go. I'd instead stay. I mean, honestly, I think Nero is still just reeling from how well that surgery went. He thought there was no way Piper was getting out of that looking like anything but just a fistful of stir fry strips, So feeling pretty good about that. Feeling good about our latest recruit. Also, I think he's just fucking tired. Like, this has been. He doesn't quite have the supernatural resolve of Mina or Piper, or even to some extent Seth. Like, he's a sleepy pretty boy. He needs his nappies. Yeah, I'll stick around and just say, hey, look, Mina, I just want to say again, you're really carrying us through all of this, in a pretty big way. So thank you. You make sure you actually rest up a bit. You can, meditate on, the big guy and how great a servant you are of him and everything, or your shield. I don't really know what you guys do, but do that, whatever that is, for you, do that. You've earned it.
She looks genuinely brightens at that. I'm so happy to hear that, sir, and I will continue to do my duty, and most certainly I will meditate, and I will pray and think about our mission, and she pulls the bomb kill switch out of her pocket and she gives it. Here you are. You're quite good with those.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll make sure to look at it and immediately start thinking of how to affix a cap over the button, because I'm I don't want this thing just going off in my pocket. But
I love that a high Sister Mina has just been walking around with just a switch, just what, whatever.
She's had it in her pocket the whole time. Yeah.
Nero, you look at the side and see there is a safety, and you click the safety on, and a cap rises up and closes over it. Mina had not used it at any point, but Nero figures it out instantly.
Yeah, no, if there's a way for him to not accidentally kill himself, he will find it, and he will use it. So yeah, he just looks at it, he's like, oh yeah, that's some damn fine engineering. All right, well, and he's thinking to himself, he doesn't say it, but this sounds like a fucking terrible night to him. This sounds like literally the worst kind of night you could have, but he knows it's Mina's kind of night, so he just says, yeah, well, go with the Emperor.
Thank you, sir. And of course, please be well and safe this evening, and if anything happens, send for me immediately, no matter what time it is.
Sure, yeah, what could possibly happen overnight in this here hotel, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I just cuddle the bomb a little closer. And I'll hold it up and I'll be like, don't worry, I think the Emperor's watching over me tonight.
Yes, I'm pleased to hear that. All right. She pats him on the shoulder like she's like, I guess I shouldn't hug him because he's the boss, but okay. All right, good night.
Good night, sister. Take care of yourself.
So Mina
Don't hug
turns.
your boss.
Don't hug the boss.
Crucial.
Mina turns and heads for the elevator. Have we decided? I know I've asked this question before, so I'm just committing the cardinal sin of there are times between these episode recordings.
Yeah.
What is Nero's skill that we have linked with his template personality? Because he's fought against it before, but I'm trying to see if something would breach that template.
We've been leaning into, I think it's been a hot second for me too. So
I think it's been cool sometimes, or discipline. I would say as Mina walks away and you feel that the explosive in one hand and the trigger in the other, you find yourself getting hit with flashes of the image of Roberto Vance getting torn apart by the Archaeopter's chain gun. And the conversation about kind of the future and doing the right thing combines with that violence, and you're getting a flicker of something. Would you actively seek it? Would you fight against it? What would Nero's
100%.
reaction?
Yeah. He's putting on this like everything's cool, go about your business thing because he's exhausted and he knows everyone else is beat. But the new man mystery is clear and present, sure, but any chance he has to figure out what's going, because he's also not sure if he's dangerous. And that is a great concern to him. Not in the same way Piper's like, is he dangerous to us? It's like, am I dangerous to me? Am I dangerous to them? Am I just like, no one just does this template shit without a good reason, and I don't know what that reason is. So, so yeah, I would chase that while holding a high explosive.
Great. Do you think you would chase? So the options then, I think the primary ones would either be cool, if you're just going to try to essentially remain in the weird kind of soft focus mental state that you're in despite the assault to try to let it break through, or if you wanted to use discipline to try to grab onto that memory and yank it towards yourself.
Realistically, I think you'd go with cool. I think the idea of actually actively he's had no luck actively digging, so I think for him it's like going limp in a car accident. He just if he focuses, he's worried it'll run away. Because he also isn't like that mentally trained, right? So it's not like he can be like, yes, I'll go inside my mind palace. It's like, shit, this is a thing I can't control, so I'm going to just stay real still and hope it. I don't want to spook the rabbit, I want to observe the rabbit.
Yeah, let's go for that then. That feels like a good check. Difficulty 3.
Yeah.
You do have 4 story points, and I have 1.
All right, I will definitely use a story point on this because he's being chill about it, but he also desperately wants it. So we use that to add a green because I was at 2 yellow. And I don't think I've got anything else that will affect.
I'm going to throw a boost your way because I know what memory is trying to break through, and there are physical things that are relating to it.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure thing. Imagery. Yeah, I'll take that. I would. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else I would mutter for, because I think that actually kind of covers it. So we're looking at 1 green, 2 yellow, 3 purple, 1 blue.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's roll them bones. Alrighty. 1 success, 2 threats. Sounds about right.
Okay, yeah. While you're standing there, you feel as you let this weird deja vu sense wash over you. Your hands are shifting in front of you, and you only realize it as it's happening to sync up with the image in your mind. And the stick trigger ends up turning horizontally and in front of you, and the other hand, which is on the bomb, you can feel it's got grooves in the side of it. It's got a textured kind of grip, and you hold the trigger to the bomb, and you end up yanking it towards yourself. And as it happens, you can feel yourself racking the slide on a chain gun yourself. And in the image of Roberto Vance in your face, it's no longer an Archaeopter firing on Roberto Vance. It's you behind the gun firing. And as you stare forwards, you see a fully armored Ultramarine, just the classic Space Marine, hurling themselves towards you as you cackle maniacally and with your one hand press down the trigger stud and just start shredding through their armor as an Archaeopter begins to lift off to pull you out of the zone. And they end up falling dead at your feet before you take off, at which point you snap back into your body with no comprehension of the context around what happened in that circumstance. You just know the pure animalistic victorious hunter thrill of being someone who has gunned down a space marine in battle, because it makes you one of the primary. That's an alpha predator in the 40K
100%.
universe at the very least. However, as you step back into the scene, you just see Sister Mina walking away and realize you're still standing in the Resuscitrix room. Ignatius isn't there, and Warden doesn't react to the stagger as you come out of it. But how do you feel? Where do you go?
I think Nero's got like a sly smile on his face. My best pull for this is like a Gaius Baltar smile from Battlestar, where he is fully aware of something no one else is and like kind of reveling in it. And I'll just nod to Warden. But for someone who feels powerless most of the time, knowing that he's done that makes him feel pretty powerful in a way he doesn't fully understand. The crossfade between the Ultramarine and Sister Mina is concerning, but he's so overwhelmed by just the feeling of it that I don't think he really clocks that. Just get into the elevator and I'll nod at Warden. And after the door closes, I'll just mutter, Emperor's finest, huh? And then I'll punch in the number for our room, for our floor.
Great. So you begin traveling upwards, no one knowing this terrifying reveal. I will say for the Tyler and Laura's who may not know as much about, and any other listener who doesn't know a ton about 40K, the Ultramarines are the White Knight Arthurian heroes of the 40K universe. Mm-hmm. They're not the people who are morally shady. They run a flawless utopia. It would be like seeing somebody gunned down. I cannot even. We don't have heroes this pure in real life.
Yeah,
it would be like you're in King Arthur's court and you just see somebody gunned down like Lancelot, and there was no affair. He was just perfect because they're this whole fabulous and flawlessly loyal legion. Okay. So there are even darker implications to the fact it's an Ultramarine.
Glad you said before the affair, because I'm just imagining Arthur be like, deserved it. Like,
no, not that. That's what I said before, when Lancelot was just the best guy ever.
Got it.
So I just want to make sure I wouldn't know it anyways. So
that's okay. You can ask to make sure that it's coherent.
Yeah, was like the vision like Nero as himself in his memory gunning down
an
Ultramarine.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
Why didn't Nero tell us he was cool before?
He just didn't know.
Yeah.
Really? That's all of his like close talking, man. That's all this. It's just like it's that confidence, from knowing that he gunned down like in his subconscious.
I used to talk like this, and I killed an Ultramarine, and then immediately just kind of get down here. It's amazing how that works.
Sister Mina, you are in the elevator. Yeah, you head down to the ground floor. Eve Null says, "Oh, Dita, come with me, come with me." She takes you around the back, and there's an armored car waiting to take you to the Citadel. You do have a little bit of a ride. As we've said, the proto-hive is large, and there are travel between the different areas. While this happens, you actually find that your personal data slate does its equivalent of a ring. I'm imagining, what would your ringtone be in a 40K universe if you had a summons on your own personal slate?
Oh, I mean, it would definitely be some kind of hymnal, like cherubim, like Tweety, like it probably would be one of like the default ringtones, but she's like, oh yes, it's the best. It's
nice. What would be the title of the hymn that she would be into?
It would sound all like beautiful and magical and like super fancy, but it would be named something like Loyalty and Death.
Perfect. I think Oh, do you know what we'll get that full Latin where it's like loyalty unto death, where it's
yes.
That's the whole journey.
That's it.
Love it. And when you look down, you see that you're actually receiving a call from the missionary Vicar Estevez, who you'd spoken with the night before.
Oh my gosh, I feel like she was being more chatty with Eve Null, so she would be like, oh, excuse me, I have to take this, and then pick up.
Oh, no problem. You just get in there. And she just closes the door so that you can go have your little drive and have your private phone call. So how are things going with your friend, if you don't mind me asking?
Mina's like reeling for a second, like, what is going what? And then
sorry,
she
I'm
realizes,
not great at the whole introduction thing because I'm so used to talking to a variety of people. I feel like I haven't left your presence because you've been in my thoughts and my prayers. How is the friend that you had called me about who is troubled, this friend who was close to your heart, how is this friend?
Oh, well, today was quite eventful and a lot happened, and I'm quite glad that you're safe. I was concerned about you. But my friend, well, actually, I feel like a lot of progress has been made only in one day. And he seems to be doing so much better, and I have a lot more levity this evening, so...
I'm sorry, he?
Yes, my friend.
Oh, sorry. It's just most people, when they make up a friend that needs advice, they tend to stick to their own gender.
What?
Is this friend not you?
No, this is my actual friend, she says, and it sounds awkward because she wants to say boss, but she doesn't want to tell him that. So, she does consider him a friend, but she still feels like she's being a little bit shady.
This is my real friend. We hug and everything.
Exactly.
Well, which... I'm not entirely sure that the advice that I gave you the other night would apply to a friend. I'd sort of intended it for you, because I'd thought we were speaking in code because you were uncomfortable confessing.
Oh, no, Vicar, I would certainly not be uncomfortable confessing anything to you, but I've not done anything requiring confessing, I suppose, aside from lying to most people here, but they deserved it.
Yeah, that checks out with me on the scale of things. I'm going to be honest, I live with these people. This place is a bit of a toilet.
Yes, exactly, and it is so good to speak to someone who understands that.
Yes, so I mean, I was comforted when I found out that the assailant who had been behind all of these assaults this evening was put to death.
As was I.
Excellent. I'd heard it was a bit rushed, though. Is this true? Do you feel like you have done justice correctly in the eyes of the Emperor?
Yes. Honestly, it is an unfortunate thing that it was not done sooner, for other lives which may have been good lives have been lost in the crossfire, so I feel like the Emperor's justice has been done, and I only hope that we are fast enough to stop more madness and useless violence, and use our powers for only good, just violence.
I have to ask, as the GM...
Yes.
She means all of that, right?
Oh,
She's not lying.
100%.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm like, he'd check, but I'm like, no, he'd just know that you were being honest, because I think he's aware that you're the world's worst liar now.
Yeah, that too. She tried with him, but no, she legit means that. And when she landed, she's like, these people are trash, we should kill them all. And she stands by all of that. So. Yeah.
So how did this day change your friend?
Well, now that you ask, I'm honestly not sure. It seems, well, there were a lot of concerns going into the day, and concerns that he might be a bit erratic or lose faith in himself and our cause, but I think everything turned around in the end, and I think the way that the day ended, well, it put a bookend on one thing at least. So even though your advice was not for him, I suppose it helped in some way.
Yes, well, if the only problem that you've seen is that he is lacking confidence, I assume he is either the interrogator, which feels unlikely, or, and I don't mean to be offensive, but this is a private conversation, that sort of glass-eyed, rat-faced man that follows you around. So I'm imagining it's the second one. Perhaps
That's extremely fair. And I am sorry to say that one, our personal criminal, is extremely beyond redemption, aside from his duty to the Inquisition and the Emperor, and hopefully a death on the battlefield will see his soul cleansed in some way.
Interesting. What order were you originally training with, sister?
Oh, I was with the Order of the Holy Word, Vicar.
Interesting. Why do you believe that this cowardly man is beyond redemption?
I mean, I do not feel that he is beyond redemption in the future eventually, but I mean, he's certainly not faithful, and he kicks and shoves every step of the way, and I don't see any way through to him.
Well, then maybe this is the challenge that the Emperor has given you. If you've helped your one friend to solve his problems this day, then perhaps tomorrow is the other friend's. Perhaps he needs a shining example to buoy him, to help him find his confidence, to help him become a better man. And who can do that if not you?
Oh, Vicar, you are quite wise. Another thing was set in front of me, and I was too blind to see it. You are more than right. I should have tried harder rather than giving up entirely.
Oh no, this was not a mistake on your part. You're a master and a mistress of the word. And I am here because I can see through to the soul and the feeling. That is why you and I are a natural conversational pair and such fast friends. I can see that there is a heart in any man, and you can see the flaws writ upon it. But it's time perhaps for you to change some of those words, for as we both know, a word is not indelibly drawn. It can be redefined. It can be turned from a fact to a poetic ideal, and perhaps that is your task with this criminal.
You are so right. I learned from my time in the Order that even the most obscure and evil of Xenos writings can be converted into High Gothic and look beautiful on the page.
So perhaps you can take this lowly man and turn him into something higher and better and holy.
I am very glad that our paths have crossed, Vicar.
As am I. Now I must return to my duties, and I'm sure you must return to yours. But thank you for sharing this moment with me.
Thank you as well, and walk in the Emperor's grace.
Ave Imperator. And he hangs up.
Yee!
It goes off.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm giving you a new
Besties!
holy mission of redeeming Seth.
I'm writing it down. That's right.
Meanwhile, back in the apartment, Seth, you are sitting there, Invictus is left, and then a moment later, Ignatius hovers in. And he's like, I looked into that hack like you wanted me to do in secret.
Yes, Ignatian, what is your report?
All right, let's find out, Tyler. I like you rolling it. That's part of the fun.
Okay.
It'll be 3 yellows and a blue and a green. So yeah, so that's your side of things. And you'll be going up against difficulty of 4, and I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade one of those difficulty.
Okay.
Whoa. Whoa.
Now, remember what I said about saving those story points?
Yeah.
I gotta say that this plot hook has been eating away at me, and I would love some more information. So I will spend a story point to really kind of lock this in.
I think what we'll say for the narrative version of this is you are so concerned about this issue, and you were when you mentioned it, that Ignatius has actually set aside a small portion of his brain on an ongoing basis to work this in the background while he's doing other conscious things. So yeah, add that story point.
Okay, thank you.
One of his multiprocessors.
Yeah. One of his brains on his brain belts is just doing that.
Ready to roll here, sir.
Yeah. Let's add, I would say 2. Actually, I will add 2 boosts because I think you are in the rare situation where Ignatius would instinctively have known that Jacinta's big push could be a factor, because that was a pretty overt play against you guys. So he'd be able to theoretically either move towards or eliminate her. So yeah, add those.
Okay. Rolling. Ooh. 1 success, 3 advantages, 2, count them, 2 triumphs.
Ooh, damn.
Well, it's very good news on my
That was
search.
against difficulty 4? That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Not only have I determined who sent the hack, I've also determined why they're trying to kill you. One could say it's 2 big victories for Ignatius.
And he does a spin, which is disturbingly fast. Like for a person, they would have to move their feet to balance, but he's just floating. So it's just, and he's all the way around in a 360, which is vaguely unsettling. But he says, I followed the hack back to where it's going, and it turns out the message was sent by Jacinta Skullshield. She used a variety of different hacking organizations, some on her ship and then a number on the world to be able to bounce it back and forth. And I thought, why would she want to kill Seth? He seems so nice. I don't read human emotion well, admittedly, but you seem nice to me because everything you say makes logical sense.
I am nice, Seth says with like just a steely, flat face. Yeah.
Ignatius looks at you and says, fact confirmed. And you just hear a high-pitched ding from inside his head as he puts that on his assumptions about you list as confirmed. Now, I looked into what happened around the time of Nero's death, and it turns out Nero transferred you 100 million thrones. And then you took that money. And then he died because your friend killed him. So there's a pretty strong suggestion that you blackmailed Nero Skullshield for 100 million thrones and then murdered him. So if she's operating under that assumption, which is what I would do because that is a lot of money to take from someone and then murder very publicly and say the Inquisition did it when only your name is on it, I think it may be a personal, you stole a bunch of money from my dad and then murdered him to keep the money kind of thing.
Right.
So if you didn't do that, you're going to need to clear this up.
Do you know where Jacinta Skullshield is right now?
Well, if I had to guess, I would guess that she is on her ship, the Draco Valens, along with her armored, regiments. But she could be anywhere because she ran away from the heist.
Yes. Right. Well, thank you, Ignatius. This confirms some suspicions I had developing over last night. Tonight? I don't know what time is.
It's been we started talking about this morning, but I looked into it the night before. It's a thing. It's a thing, and it's fine. All of your flesh is bad at figuring out time.
Yes.
Quick question. What did you do with the 100 million thrones? Because I think you could do a lot of stuff with that.
The 100 million thrones had to go towards inquisitorial interests.
Does that mean you're keeping it? I can't tell when people are lying or telling secrets.
I'm not keeping it. I don't have it.
Interesting. Okay, I've got to go. Is there anything else you need me to look into?
Do see about tracking down and monitoring that Jacinta Skullshield. Like you said, it was a lot of money, and she may try to exact her revenge once again.
Yeah, in terms of passive perception, I would say I have a 0.005% chance of being able to stumble upon her in the net. You might need to do something more active. I'm going to recharge. Goodbye. And he just does a rapid spin and floats out of the room, leaving you behind. Which is where you all go to bed. Piper, You were asleep inside a resuscitrix chamber. You have been anesthetized, so you don't dream. This is probably the rare night where you're not seeing portents. It's the anesthetic sleep of just blackness. It's just lost time as you sleep away. Mina,
I would be surprised to wake up, I think. Part of me.
Mina, you are thrust into the weird liquid organic machine that is a resuscitrix yourself. It's deeply unsettling to be able to breathe while immersed in a liquid. Part of you panics instantly, but it's highly oxygenated. So as it fills your lungs with fluid, you're able to breathe throughout. It's not comfortable, but they add in some, soporifics into the liquid, which then drifts you off to a pleasantly drugged sleep and probably religious dreams, I would imagine, after your conversation.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think she would just be doing hymns and thinking of passages in her brain, and she probably would. She'd probably have I imagine she would have a dream about being in a great cathedral or back on where the convent was, and that it would be Wizard of Oz. Everyone would be there, but they would all be religious figures and just hanging out. So all dressed up.
Nice. Nero, you've found your own bed. You can still see the stab wound in the wall above you that was not repaired. And you drift off from a strange place that's led you into this sleep. Where do you think Nero's dreams take him? And do you think he remembers those dreams? Because he may be more free there, but not in a way that affects his waking life.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that he has just glimpses of, I would say probably just like moments leading up to and in and around what he remembered. Like if his brain has tapped into that piece, that's probably what he's getting. So I don't imagine it gives him like the full narrative. It's just more so like, you know, if it's in a vaguely lucid state, being able to like look down, examine the gun, examine, you know, the copter around him, details on the Marine's armor, the weather, what, you know, details of the space, and none of it is informing him of anything. It's just his brain kind of sifting through the inputs that it has.
Yeah, you see red earth. It's clearly a desert. This isn't necessarily Star Wars where the whole planet is desert, but it's a red desert with sand blowing. The Archaeopter itself is, for 40K high end, for our world, very primitive. You can see a lot of the structure and the bones and the different things that make it up. However, there is an odd fusion of flesh and machine in terms of the pilot. Not to the traditional machines plug in, but the idea that flesh is overcoming coils and the pilot is bound into this structure. And as you glance out, you can see the Archaeopter wings, which are normally metallic, similar to a fly or a dragonfly's wings. Mm-hmm. They're also fleshy and they're bleeding just of their own accord. The ship is taking off. Your gear is worn, similar to what you're wearing now. Mm. You do have the same bolter slung over your shoulder. It does have some worn insignia of the Imperium, but you could feel that fear, that terror. You watch the Ultramarine, it's their armor glinting in the harsh light of two suns from above, turn up and gun down another Archaeopter with their bolter, just through the window, take out the flesh pilot. It crashes and explodes. You're feeling panic throughout you as you're taking off. And that's when you finally get the chain gun up and operating. It's been jammed and you force it and it goes. And you see an Imperial hero, the ultimate thing that can kill you or anyone else. And that's when you have your moment of glory. Here's the question I would have for you, even in this lucid state. Is there any element of horror to knowing you're killing an Imperial hero or an Imperial hero is after you? Or are you caught up in this memory and the joy of that in the old time?
There definitely would be. I mean, like from a very meta perspective, we're all aware of like the Horus context that we keep kind of quipping about and everything else. But I don't think he fully understands it. And between the template and the memories, he's often saying things about Horus that he means the Emperor and vice versa. Like there's just so much bleed in his understanding of the world that, yeah, absolute horror, but also elation in not equal measure, but, you know, it doesn't make sense, but also makes perfect sense. And like, of course. And so, yeah, they're honestly, if we want to break it down, it's pre-template is feeling the feelings of the moment. Template is feeling the horror of that. But honestly, it's probably less about the Ultramarine and more about the fact that his brain was so easily able to jump the track from Ultramarine to Mina. That's, I think, what's actually horrifying him is like, oh, I could have been shooting Mina just as easily because she would be following the same tenets this Marine was.
And I think that's the horror of the dream, because you're starting to see those blend as the modern day and the old memories there. But instead, it's you feeling that same animal joy as you gun down Sister Mina trying to get to you. Mm-hmm. So uneasy sleep for Nero. And Seth, you settle into bed and you're ready to sleep. I imagine you're kind of a functional sociopath, so you may be able to sleep without fear, or you may be somebody who's racked with stress. Where do you fall on the sleeping scale?
I think the longer Seth is out of stasis, like how we were deployed at the beginning of this arc, the longer he's out, the more stress he kind of accumulates. So I think this is still within like acceptable parameters to him, but he is basically like the gears are turning where he's basically having to think about all of these different machinations and how he's basically conspiring with multiple different people and how that's backfiring in some ways and how it's paying off in others and how can he make everything kind of work out for him. And
fabulous. So your mind is rolling on those and spinning through these ideas, and you can't sleep and you can't sleep, and you're starting to drift off when your personal data slate beeps. What would be your ringtone if someone important but threatening was calling? Would you have a personalized one if it was Lucia Bane, or do you just have one for whoever calls in?
No, he would have a priority call alert.
Right.
And it's just 3 sort of urgent sounding beeps. Like the beeps themselves have like a nervous kind of feel to them. So it would just be like, dee, 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 dee. And they're like, that's like,
Great.
That's someone that you don't want to send a voicemail.
And you roll over feeling like you've played the situation as well as you can and feeling like things are as in hand as they can be. And then you read a short message from Lucia Bane that says, tomorrow, prepare for power armor. You are spoiled ingredients, nothing more. A thing meant to die for your betters. Do you see? Do you understand? Fabius Bile, while burning the heart out of a space marine who dared call him a parasite in combat.
Wow.
After a night of, for some of you, wholly in both the sense of altogether and religiously satisfying dreams, and an unending lack of time, you just wake up coughing up goo after your surgery, or concerning dreams from one direction or another, you all wake up hoping that you are not meant to die for your betters. You'd really like to do this mission for the Imperium and for your survival, for whatever causes drive you deep in your heart. I will say you've all had the overnight treatment. So Sister Mina and Piper, I already told you gained 3. Sister Mina, you will also gain 3 wounds, health, however you want to add it.
Yeah.
You have 3 more for where you were at. Seth and Nero, you both gain 1, which is the given for overnight. And all of you get all of your stress, strain, whatever it is, back. That goes to full as a gift of overnight. Right now, we are sitting at 3 story points in your direction and 2 in mine. But because you had a night for things to shift around and you all got to be a little bit rested, I'm going to change that to 4 and 1 in your favor, because it is a new day and new things have happened. I'm going to cheat a little bit and say, Sister Mina, you were woken up the earliest, gotten out of your machines, cleaned up by the Medicaid staff in the Governor's Citadel, and you're back as the rest of the team are recovering. And Piper, you are also woken up earlier. I think Seth may be a sleep-in guy, and I don't know where Nero falls on his mornings. Would Nero get up early, or would he sleep in, or is he the get up and other people wake to find him with like a sumptuous breakfast and a little gold espresso?
Yeah, I feel like, particularly given the nature of his dreams, he probably kind of woke up in a panic. And knowing he couldn't get back to sleep, honestly feels like he didn't sleep at all. So probably not sumptuous breakfast, but definitely like out there with coffee. And yeah, probably some like untouched food that he knows he should eat, but hasn't mustered up the energy to.
So Piper, Warden, and Mina, you enter. At the same time, Seth, you come out of your room to find Nero with a golden jug of carafe, like a carafe of calf, which is an annoying sentence to say, but welcome to 40K universe. There are mugs. It's got that continental breakfast for rich people where all the food looks good, but probably only tastes about a 6 out of 10. Except you do see a few home-cooked items that were clearly brought by Eve Nuln, where you can see some muffins and some breads, and you're like, oh, that will be the thing that will taste good. I imagine you would all get fully dressed right away. Would you be sitting, because Nero, you woke up, but you were nervous. So I'm thinking you're in your gear, probably not pajamas.
Yep.
Great. So everyone is here and in your gear. Nero, knowing that you're up, we can say that you're presenting what you found on the race happening this day to the group, but I will do it for the sake of intro. So you all kind of sit down and you get to have your briefing on this third event. So this third day is the race, as it is known. There is the arena, the heist, and the race. It is the third and final of the gubernatorial activities. It takes place in the Adeptus Mercantile District. So if you remember, the Proto-Hive has essentially 3 concentric circles. The center is the Citadel, which is where the governor lives. There's the Proto-Spire, which is the fancy kind of houses and the big districts. And then there are the larger outside districts that are the traditional kind of hive proper. In the hive proper, one of those is run by the Adeptus Mercantile. They're the ones who make all the deals. They deal with the money. They deal with the exchanges. They have a huge number of staff present just because the system is a big hub of trade. Each house involved in the race chooses a runner and 3 bodyguards. They start in a circuitous track. It's a circle within the Adeptus Mercantile district.
A runner.
A runner.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So they're a ring. There's a path that is carved through the center of the Adeptus Mercantile. It's a big circle. It takes like 2 hours or 3 hours to run the whole thing. Traditionally, the race starts at 4 p.m. and ends at 7 p.m., kind of at sunset. So the idea is sunset is where people cross the line. How this works, because everything is horrifying in these house systems, is the teams are set up equidistantly around this circle. And their goal is to run the full circle route around to where they started again the fastest. The person who needs to complete the run is the runner. If they complete the run fastest, their team wins. If they die, obviously their team loses. If all the runners die, then whoever got the furthest is the winner. But the crowd is not allowed to interfere with the runners. The bodyguards are. The runner has to go around and complete the course, but the bodyguards can leave or set themselves up at other places of the route whenever they want. So the question becomes with the bodyguards, are you an offensive team where you go to try to shoot somebody else, or do you stay with your runner to try to keep your person alive? And there's a lot of balancing and a lot of strategy over this. The crowds also, over the years, have gotten more involved as time has gone on. So there are only a few points on the route where it is relatively safe, quote unquote, to stage an ambush. Because if you do it in the general population area, if you're trying to shoot somebody from House Marcus, there's going to be people in the crowd who will just start shooting you. So there are essentially 3, quote unquote, danger zones that you would look at over the course of these runs. Nero would find this. The race is so public that none of this is secret anymore. The 3 kind of areas that are the most dangerous are what are known as the rad habs. There was a hab block of residential areas, which are, if you're thinking the really creepy 1970s all concrete public housing style buildings, it is a block of those buildings where there was an accident during construction and one of the energy generators in that area went off and just soaked it in radiation. So it is fatal for anyone who was to try to live in that district for any amount of time. However, they're just going to let you run through it. So you'll get some disgusting rad exposure, but it does mean there are no civilians lining that area. It is a bit of a sniper's paradise. A lot of tall buildings, a lot of windows that already have the glass broken. It's a nasty area to run through, but it's a great area. I wish
we had Atticus
for ambushes.
You can't snipe.
No, his lungs.
Oh yes.
His bionic lungs.
Well, I've got those now too. But...
Seth's got them.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Oh yeah.
I was shot in the chest, if you'll recall.
Oh right.
I mean, look, you could have had him, but you decided not to.
We found our runner.
The second area where you can stage a solid ambush are what was technically known as the dye markets, but have become known as the chem markets, because the dyes all produce a number of toxic and noxious side effects and different toxins that are all very good for getting really fucking high. So that is an area very much an open air kind of farmer's market style. If you're thinking of any of the big celebration markets you see in the Star Wars movies, people are just going to be shooting colored things into the sky. The whole crowd is wasted. It's so packed that it's actually become a popular place to do an assault because no one's able to keep track of where the fuck the runner is. So if you're trying to get close and knife somebody and disappear into the crowd, the chem market is the place to do it. And the third area is the warehouse lane. At one point, the runners are just forced to run through a massive warehouse that extends nearly 2 blocks that is full of swinging equipment. There's a small foundry attached. There's a bunch of tech stuff around. So it's really easy to roadblock someone or secrete yourself or do kind of whatever. If you're looking for just an isolated area with a lot of tech and a lot of noise and distractions, that is it. You do know where you will be positioned in terms of this run. So because it's a circle, I apologize. It's just, this is the only way my brain could do it. I'm aware it's not audio friendly. Fuck me. I don't know why I did this, but we're doing it anyways. If you think of yourselves as starting at the north of the circle, so just the furthest up, That is going to be your starting point. Behind you is the Die Chem market. Behind that is going to be the starting position for House Marcus. So their runners will start there. Or their runner will start there. Then there's Warehouse Lane. Then there will be the Bane team. Then there are the Rad Habs. And we're back to you. So just for simplification, It's always going to be a space, an ambush place, a space. Team, they're also... This is a weird thing that has happened over the history of this games, but it's very possible. A number of teams have won by doing what the crowd has deemed the murder make, which is their whole team just turns around, including the runner, and they walk backwards and try to kill everyone running at them. Because it's possible to just be like, nope, we're team homicide, and just Terminator it back. Because if you kill all the other teams, by default, you win.
So we going to Radhabs first or Chem?
So if you are running in the direction the race is traditionally run, you are running into the Radhabs.
Okay.
If you were to do the murder make, turn around and just try to gun for the people behind you,
like
that's
the
where you go
direction.
die.
That's like the set direction of the race. Okay.
Yes.
Fuck.
So that is the race.
This is... God damn.
The things I will flag for you is you will have to choose a runner out of your team, and you will have to choose your bodyguards. Bodyguards do not have to start with the runners, but traditionally they're not supposed to start shooting until at least the race has started. And you still have a favor, which is worth calling in. So you will have 2 rounds to prep for this. Traditionally, there's kind of the research, and then the afternoon will be what can you do, and then the race starts at 4 p.m. So you're not without any ability to kind of have help with that. You do know collectively that Marcus has not called in his favor yet. Mm-hmm. Lucia Bane has, because she used the Imperial Navy.
Right.
So you have a favor.
I'm guessing my promise to Vance no longer means anything.
It's going to be really hard for him to call it in unless he can coalesce from goo into a man.
Well, that was easy.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I can participate because he's the only one who knew I made that deal, so fuck him.
Exactly. I love it.
Y'all got lucky.
I never did anything for you. Yeah.
Seth, you did receive your message last night telling you and your team prepare for power armor. That's just a fact.
Can I derive any further meaning from that? Like prepare to face off against power armor is what I'm assuming.
I think if you sent that back, you would just get like a yes and the 40k equivalent of like a head shake emoji. just
yes, SMH.
Yeah.
But like with skulls and spikes.
Mm-hmm, of course.
And an Aquila.
Of course. So that is what you know about the games. That is what you know about where you're heading and what you need to do. So now you all have a chance, having absorbed this information, to strategize and figure out what you want to do this morning to prepare.
Ryan, before we get too deep into the planning of this, can I either beg a boon or clarify?
Oh, yes. Any questions anyone has just about this? Because that was a lot of expo. Please ask.
Yeah. So this is adjacent to it. I'm just, in terms of thinking of our planning, Nero would have wanted to check the blood, the remaining blood sample.
Yes.
Can we say I just did that this morning, or is that 100%. One of the great? Okay.
Yes. So that's going to take some time. You won't have those results until tomorrow.
Great.
But that is being run currently.
Great.
I had that in my notes too, and I was like, oh yeah, he'd fucking do that. No, yeah.
I just want to make sure I didn't have to blow like everyone else is like, quick, we got to figure out the runner. And I'm like, I'm going to stare at a paint spinner.
Yeah. This series, this machine is not actually meant to split these up, but with a quick consultation with Ignatius, he can gear it up to be able to run it through. You'd use your own gear, not his, because you don't know what level of corruption is going on. So they may have found a way to fake his. Your Inquisitorial stuff will be higher grade even than what he's got.
Okay, great. So that'll just run and we can get back to planning. In terms of the actual plan itself, you mentioned that we each have a different starting space. Is the idea just that the runner who returns to their home base, having run the entire track, so it doesn't matter, like we're not all starting from the same spot, there's not a start line, finish line. Each of us has our own start line, finish line. Yeah, okay, great.
Correct. So if everyone finishes the race, it just comes down to who gets to their original starting place the fastest.
Yeah, gotcha.
Otherwise, it gets crazy.
Cool. Nice.
And my understanding of the Radhabs is that they are abandoned because they're inhospitable due to radiation. Okay. But the warehouse lane is active warehouses, or are they also kind of abandoned warehouses?
Warehouse Lane is active, but not with personnel. It's servitors and other mechanized functions. So you're not dealing with any security in that sense. You realize when you study the games that the crowd kind of wants blood, so they probably have like video cameras there to catch the violence. They want teams to be able to cheat because that's part of the sport.
Okay.
So it's there. You also receive a last minute addition to the whole thing that takes over your data slates as you're glancing. And you see that this year, because of the elimination of House Vance, the crowd and the legal system, there's a major member of House Vance who turned out to be Roberto's mother, if you look into it, which is Phyllis Vance. She is outraged at the loss of her son and said that House Vance should still be able to participate in the games, even though they cannot win, and was granted this boon by the rest of the houses. You can see the mark of House Cologne supporting it, perhaps to help him keep stability. They are being allowed to introduce what's being referred to as a wild card. It is a team that has no runner, but can just interfere with the other teams. You don't know who it is, but you know there is now just a hostile team from House Vance who you did sentence to death.
I can fucking guess.
But you also don't know if they would be aware that you'd done it. Bo-Katan took care of it. You were part of the investigation. It may not be personal. Question marks all around. Maybe the mom fucking hated him. It's a weird planet. Okay. But there is going to be a wild card team that you don't know anything about as well. So you don't know who anyone is running because no one's announced yet. Weirdly, every house kind of has an advantage knowing that Cologne was using you, but that's the game.
Okay.
Wow.
And before we, sorry, Tyler, just before we get into actually discussing it, we have our goal is still to give Lucia Bane the win. Is that correct?
This is I believe still the case based on Gazi's appraisal of her suitability for leadership. Also, that helps Gazi the most in terms of survivability after all of this.
Yeah.
From what you know, she is the best candidate for stability in the system on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Seth, I think I'm assuming there's like some sort of like planning map or grid or something like that of the race track.
If you shift from there's two options. I think you could probably get the equipment brought in. So why don't we say they brought it? Ignatius will bring in a holo projector and set it up on your central coffee table. So it'll give you that 3D version of the mercantile district with the circle route shown through it, so you can see the highlighted regions.
Okay. Seth would say, right. Just at a glance, we could cash in our one favor for the Navy to bombard the Radhabs while Marcus's runner enters it, just decimating an unpopulated, inhospitable wasteland. Minimal collateral damage and a high chance of taking Marcus's man out of the game.
Calling in hell from space is always it's honestly kind of my favorite way to fight, if I'm being completely honest. My one concern is we have to make sure that none of the other runners, particularly the Bane runner, is in there. But then again, if we're all starting from different spots, it shouldn't be too hard, right? They shouldn't be running in tandem. So yeah,
it's the last leg of Bane's race. It is the second, shall we say, checkpoint for House Marcus.
Yeah. Seth, I like where your head's at.
I received this message from Lucia Bane. Prepare for power armor. We could perhaps send something back and say, prepare for orbital bombardment.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Provide her some information on where she shouldn't be.
No, I like that. Can we? Let's not just gloss over power armor.
Yes, that's all I received was prepare for power armor. I believe.
Well, and I don't imagine she would, clarify that any. That seems like a pretty clear statement that requires no additional context. All right, that's concerning. Look to Sister Mina, being like, And just flashes of blue in my eyes as I see, the ultramarine U superimposed over her shoulder for a second, just kind of like blinking and sipping my coffee in a paranoid DiCaprio way, just kind of like darting my eyes around the room.
The alternative, I do not know what it will yield, but we could cash a favor into the Adeptus Mechanicus and see if they could sabotage all power armor involved in the race.
What, like Ignatius could do it?
I don't know. That being said, I think it's a boon that Lucia Bane gave us that information. It would be bad for our investigation if we were to use it to directly harm her chances at winning the race. What I'm not sure of is if her house is using power armor or if House Marcus is. Or would that have been clear from my little, wait, you guys are doing it? And her calling me a dickhead.
Okay, can you roll me a streetwise at difficulty 3?
There are important questions.
Yeah, Seth is a very smart man, and I am not, so I don't know, man. What was the difficulty?
3.
3. And that was streetwise?
Yeah. And throw a boost on there because you're clever. I think you could math this out. But we're going to find out if you can.
I mean, why? Yeah, why you gotta send ambiguous shit like that? It's important information. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, she had the time to give us the emojis. She could have just sent some useful ones like, face of Marcus, space marine, gun, sad.
Yeah. It's actually 2 advantages, 1 failure.
Oh,
it's the
yikes!
The elusive bad cunning roll for Seth.
How unusual.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I can't give you a clean answer, but the advantage means I can give you a clue. Okay, no, it's almost impossible to have 2 advantages actually pay off with a failure in this instance. So I will just give you a question I imagine he begins to ask himself, which is, why would she warn us if they were hers?
Yeah.
I have the answer to that kind of as in character as a warning to get the fuck out of her way.
There you go. Yeah. That's perfect. There's the questions of advantage and failure
going back and forth. Yeah. Is clearly she's warning us about Marcus, unless she's using it and she's just saying, get the fuck out of my way. But maybe she's not. But maybe she is. And just that kind of, yeah.
Mina, I think you've been quiet. So as Seth falters, this is your chance to kind of chime in because you care about Seth faltering all of a sudden.
Oh, well. I think she definitely, I think she's distracted considering this because she's just thinking the she'd be like, the Navy and the Planetary Defense Force seems like the most powerful of what this system has to offer. There shouldn't be any Astartes in the area, unless they mean a different type of power armor or custom made. And she's thinking well, the leader of the Mechanicus did have that rather large body made, maybe, but it wouldn't be considered power armor. She's just baffled by this. That's where she's at right now.
Piper, I think you can psychically feel everyone's brains locking up. And you're back in your own body. You're feeling limber. I imagine you're fully awake having had your treatment. Where are you at with all of this?
I don't fucking know. She's kind of like,
go team.
The thing is her powers really do not help in this situation at all. I think it's her common sense says that it would be a warning because she wants us to fucking help her. So I think Piper says okay. It seems like everyone's having a bit of a moment here. But that's a warning, right? It's a warning to prepare defense against power armor. No, is that not Like,
What defense
doesn't that like seem
is there
obvious to everyone?
against power armor?
Chain gun.
I mean, you already said like orbital bombardment, like.
Yeah, or just get a chain gun.
Yeah, I think you also all would have enough experience because you're dealing with Inquisitorial armories. Like, a melt-a-gun can fuck with power armor. A las cannon could fuck with power armor. Like,
we did have that.
there are defensive opportunities or offensive opportunities.
Yeah,
Because,
I think
like,
I think
with your
Piper has to say like just like I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit concerning that like everyone's like this much like dismayed by like this like very very simple like message that we received. Like, is everyone like, are you all like okay? Is everyone like fit to do this thing today? Do I need to be concerned?
When are you not concerned, Piper?
I mean, do I need to be like extra
More
concerned?
so? Right.
Yeah, more so.
No.
Just the
I'm
regular amount, Piper.
Yeah. Seth and Nero are both like, yeah.
Yeah, just like love the commentary from the person who's never in the line of fire. Like, oh yeah, no, of course. Why would we worry about power armor from the spectator
Just
booth?
shut up and let us have a panic attack collectively.
Yeah.
Um,
Off of that, Nero will just say like, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really change things one way or the other, right? Either Lucia's got power armor or Marcus does, and either way, it's a real thing. We also need to figure out exactly what our play here is, because I know the Colognes want us to like help them to power, and yeah, it'd be great if the system stayed stable and all that, particularly after we liquidated one of their houses and all. But again, really, it's not why we're here, And it would seem to me that if we're in this race, we just need to stay alive. And yeah, we need to help Lucia win or whatever, but more importantly, any of us who are going out there need to stay alive. Now, Warden, and I'll like point to Warden, I was like, he did great. He did great when push came to shove there. And that's what we need to be thinking about here, because it doesn't really matter who's wearing the power armor. There just will be power armor, to Piper's point. So what's the play here, Seth? Do you want to put Lucia up and over?
Yes, it would seem to be, based on the available data, the best option for this world. That being said, I had not considered Warden's utility for this event. Are you feeling limber, Warden?
Warden says, "It is my job to guard Piper."
Right. Suppose that can't work more than once.
I'll also just hold up the bomb and be like, yeah, also we don't have any fail safes anymore, so really he should be there.
Oh, we took that out. Shame that.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I
cool.
mean,
It means I
like-
got it now, though.
I mean, like, I could always like run along like side everyone.
Are you volunteering to be the runner?
No, absolutely not. I'm saying Warden should like run.
Yes, I don't think that's going to happen. Warden's made that quite clear.
Warden, like, obviously, like, you're the most, like, I don't know, appropriate for this.
Warden raises his hand and taps his arm, and the message clearly says, "This is a suicide mission. If I die, I am obligated to take you with me."
Okay.
This is a suicide mission. Seth looks to Mina and says, Mina. Olianne Mina, you're one of the most physically adept of our Inquisition. How do you feel about running a lap for the Emperor?
I suppose I am the most physically fit of all of you.
It is crucial that the runner survives.
That is true. Well, I will accept on 2 conditions.
And what are those?
1, that you look after Nero and make sure that he survives, paramount to anyone else. And 2, that afterwards we have a talk.
I think Seth is like, I don't think Mina's ever spoken to him that way. right? I think it's like, I beg your pardon. I'm just like,
do you agree? She says, holding out a hand, like, this is how you do deals, isn't it?
yeah. Not to knock, like I think Dell's great and everything, but Seth is a fucking megalomaniacal sociopath. And so I think in his perception, this is like a child to a parent being like, we have to have a talk after this. And I think he's just like bemused. Like he's just kind of like, oh, this is going to be great. This will be rich. So he's just like, oh, yes. And he just shakes her hand. Yeah.
All right, done. I'm certain the Emperor will guide my feet as well as my shield.
Indeed.
Excellent. So as a party, you've now decided you have your runner and then you have your bodyguards. I would say theoretically, in terms of announcing bodyguards or not, you would have the option of choosing Warden as a bodyguard, and Piper could just follow Warden around. You're also all aware of Piper's abilities, which I will flag. She's not been using them, but she can selectively blind people. She can compel them to see things differently. She's an interesting secret weapon.
I can enhance or augment some abilities for other
There you
people.
go. There's that too. So there are fun abilities there. The question in terms of research this morning for what you can look into using your various spy files and other abilities. Obviously, you don't know who the Wildcard is. You don't know the team Bane is running. You don't know the team Marcus is running or what Marcus's favor is. And you don't know about power armor or how you could possibly gear up to deal with it, which are kind of two different questions if you're to look into power armor or look into like what are solutions that are available. And then you've got your favor. It seems like research in the morning, action in the afternoon to collect what you need or call things in, and then the race will be at 4. So what do each of you want to look into as you've finalized this morning?
This is super random, but I think that Mina liked Seth's idea about asking the Mechanicus what to do about power armor. And I think the thought is to ask Ignatius if he could make a, like, I'm trying to think of what they're called. Like one of those things that like makes technology not work. Like
an EMP?
Like an EMP, yes. That could be fired or placed on something so that if a power armor comes at her, she could just like depower and keep going. Like that's the thought of making something like that. So discussing something like that with him.
Fabulous. So chatting with Ignatius about EMPs. Great. Yeah. Piper, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think Piper just wants to know, I don't know. Honestly, I think she'd just probably meditate.
Right. So she's going into
preparing for it because this is just like, yeah, she's gonna have to use her abilities. And she doesn't want the fucking, like, chaos machine to be like, hey, you know,
Seth,
as it does.
What do you think you'd be doing or looking into?
Is now the time to be going through the process of calling in that favor and explaining to the Navy what we need done? Or is that something that can happen during action, like you said?
You could do that in the afternoon if you want. People don't have the power to say no to the favor as long as it doesn't, like, do something massively illegal. They'll just have to agree. So probably better to do the research first to see if there's something you want to rule out or another idea.
I wanted to make sure that someone was on that and that we didn't just like forget about that. Okay.
I went first, so I'm not here to pick up the slack. I
don't know. I'm just fucking like sitting over here saying nothing. So whatever.
Yeah, Seth probably doesn't like that either. He's like looking over. He's like,
look, Seth is welcome to ask Piper to do something. Make yourself useful.
Seth, I think, will want to look into this Wildcard situation. Yeah, I like the idea that Mina's looking into power armor countermeasures for herself. I like that idea of, like, at this point, we're confident in shelling the Radhabs, and that'll take care of Marcus's runner. At that point, it's just staying alive and coming in second. Like they're like the stakes at that point, once we take care of Marcus's runner, the stakes are decidedly lower. So it's what's up with this wild card? What's up with power armor? You know what I mean? Like the dangerous stuff that we know about, just being as safe about that as possible. So I will research this wild card and see if we can figure out countermeasures, who it is, like whatever intel we have to kind of act on regarding the wild card.
Nero, you know what everybody else is doing, which means you as the interrogator get to do whatever else you feel is missing.
Yeah. I want to learn more about the warehouse. It sounds like we've got some pretty good, like, big picture strategy stuff in place, but that whole sequence of the 3 environments seems weirdly the most controllable in the long run. And I think if Nero's looking to seize control of something, ultimately, I think he wants to know, like, you know, okay, so it's like it's part factory, it's part warehouse. What are the moving pieces? What are the dangers in there? Just so that he can basically give Mina as many advantages as possible. They're worried less about the ambushes and more about, like, the space itself is going to fight us when we're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. All right, let's go through these in this order then. So we'll start with you, Mina. So I'm imagining you go downstairs to Ignatius, or do you call him to come up to you?
She'd go down there because then he has all his stuff to work with or start working immediately. Yeah.
Great. So you go down, you find him amongst his big collections of his Mechanicus parlor, trading a brain jar in and out of his stack of brains inside the wall back into his belt capsules. He's like, what can I do for you this fine day?
Yes, good morning. It is a fine day. I require your assistance in building some technology.
Oh, all right. I can do that, sort of. Or if I can't, I know people who can. Again, Magos biologist. What do you need?
Right. And he hovers over. He definitely, it looks like he's going to run into every single table along the way, but he misses them all by the smallest margin you can imagine. It's clearly mathematically precise and gets him to you very fast, but it looks like a top constantly about to fall over until he arrives in front of you.
She's very distracted by that. Like her eyes are just like, okay. Like,
what do you need?
He says from 3 inches away.
Well, since you are part of the Inquisition now, and I can tell you everything that we know because you can't tell anyone else, otherwise you're betraying us. Regardless, we need some sort of technology to fight against power armor. Perhaps something that could depower it or make it unusable for a moment. It might be something that we're facing off against. So having some kind of, I don't know, technological device that could interrupt or depower on the fly that I could...
Well, in terms of weapons that can depower power armor on the fly, I would suggest an Inferno pistol or a Meltagun. It deactivates the armor permanently, along with the wearer.
I completely understand that, but I am not good with such weapons, and also it's unnecessary to permanently deactivate, as this will be hopefully quick. So I need something that is lightweight and simple and that I can use to interrupt power armor, if that makes sense.
The majority of power armor systems include buffers, which allow power armor to reactivate after a semi-short amount of time. We could perhaps create an electrical shock device that would power up working against the buffers. And you just see him start talking out loud, and his voice shifts into the blurting of binary as he's talking because he's running through the ideas so fast. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I only have time to make something that could do what you want non-fatally for 1 suit of power armor, assuming I can guess the buffer power, but it's possible?
Good. That's what I like to hear. Yes.
Okay. 1 suit of power armor. I can probably guess. Yeah, the specs aren't that hard. Okay, can you roll for me? Oh, no. Do you know what? We're going to have to save this roll because you won't know whether or not this works until you're in the field, but he will build it for you.
All right.
Find
perfect.
out
when
it is used, just like you would in real life.
I think she would also ask that it be something that can be hand used and not fired. Because, man, if it's a gun, it's not going to work.
I'll build it onto the shape of a melta-charge. I can remove the melta-charge, and that should be big enough that we can put it on there. Normally, it wouldn't work for a person-sized thing, but power armor tends to make someone the size of a small tank, or a door. In this case, there'll be a door that falls down.
That's exactly what we're asking for. Thank you, Ignatius.
Wonderful. Do you want to watch me work? Some people are cool about that, and some people are kind of weird. You can leave.
All right. You have at it.
Aha! And he just spins away, and you see a collection of arms appear from under his robes and begin frantically yanking things out from under tables and building around him. It really is a Dr. Octopus, 8 arms, though he's floating, and he starts to work. So you feel like you've got something on the way.
All right.
Again, you have to trust it'll work, but that would be true of you in any technology,
Yep.
and Ignatius does seem capable.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Piper, you are meditating. So are you preparing to try to hide or like hone your abilities to come? Are you just trying to see what the Emperor or the universe sends your way in terms of realizations?
It's very much like the type of meditation that I do before I use my astropathic abilities. It's like essentially like centering myself to be able to use my telepathy cleanly while essentially like maintaining my little box that keeps out the forces of chaos.
Okay, so you're journeying into your mind palace through this experience. It's not just a physical exercise.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm imagining you'll set your wards, you'll do all that. Warden will be waiting outside the door because he's deeply uncomfortable being anywhere near psychic phenomena.
Yeah.
He likes to shoot when those things happen.
Yeah, it gets a little chilly in the room too.
Absolutely. So the temperature sinks. You step into the cube inside your mind. What does it look like this time? Because I imagine your emotional state and things you've learned will affect it.
So Piper tries to keep it as consistent as possible. I would say that because of kind of the strain over the past day, that the edges of her cube thing are slightly rounded now, which is a little bit, it's unusual, but it's like part of her meditation to ensure that like she focuses on like basically straightening them out.
Yeah, so you start shaping the environment around you. Can you roll me an astropath check? I think you've got just your abilities, correct?
Yeah.
I would say accept astropathy if you're using your abilities at like a low level to try to warm up,
Yeah.
or I would accept discipline if you're trying to just lock yourself in and control your environment through force of will.
I'd probably be an astropath.
Great, let's go for that then.
Yeah. Okay, uno momento. That is 1, 2. Sorry, what's the difficulty? Oh, it's just a straight check?
No, difficulty 2. There should be some difficulty,
sorry.
but I think
Yep.
it's pretty low because you're not actively using your powers. You're just kind of channeling them
Okay, want me to upgrade
at a
one?
comfortable level. Yeah, by default, I
okay.
think.
All right. 3 successes, 1 advantage.
3 successes, 1 advantage. The light of the Emperor is still shining brightly, more brightly and closer than you would normally anticipate. It feels like rather than being lit by like the sun, it feels like there might be a lamp that is closer to you, which feels like his attention could be here. This could be important. There are a lot of ways you can interpret it, and I actually leave those to you. I don't think there's a definitive one. But you do have success in shaping your environment, maintaining the integrity of the walls, and you do feel empowered and focused. I will say, make a note, you can add 2 boost to your first psyker check.
Cool. Love it.
Do you know what? I will give you a choice, actually. You can add 2 boosts to your first psyker check, or you can add 1 boost to all of your psyker checks through the race.
1 to all.
Sold. All right.
Yeah.
So make a note of that. Your additional focus will help you with that.
Awesome.
So centered, there is the oddness of that kind of closeness of the Emperor, but it's not menacing in any way. You don't feel that with it.
Cool.
Meanwhile, Seth, you are doing research into the Wildcard. How do you want to go about this? You do have access to Invictus if you want him to go through the Inquisitorial side. It'll be shady, but he might be willing to do it. Or you have Abacus if you want somebody to look at things from the outside and move forwards, or any other methodology you can come up with.
I think leveraging Abacus would be smart. Who do we think would be best at intercepting communique between Vance's mother and, well, which is really from Vance's mother? I would say Abacus would be my guess.
Ignatius is already being used, so Abacus, yes. He'd probably be slightly worse at it than Ignatius, but he's got a lot of Inquisitorial backups, and he's very smart, so he might be able to piece it together even if he can't get through the communiques. So yeah, let's go for that then. Abacus, in this case, will give you 3 yellow and a green.
That's all right.
2 boost for the Inquisitorial files and tracking that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty will be 2 purple, 1 red, because I'm spending a story point to upgrade this, because I think they would be very cautious about this kind of security.
Okay.
And 1 setback because it's not 2 setback because it's not Abacus's chosen discipline. He's not a hacker, but he can build evidence, but it's abstracting something that you're hoping for a literal answer to.
Okay. I'm going to goose this with a story point.
Okay.
I would flavor that as leveraging House Colon.
Yep.
Cologne, excuse me. Sorry. House Cologne, in that they signed off on this and just kind of leaning a little bit on Gaza to be like, what did you sign off on? What are the rumors? What are the rumblings kind of thing?
Cool.
You had to have signed off to, like, you had to know the risk you were taking on if you signed off on it kind of thing.
He and his various spy network handlers and agents you'll have access to their files as well. So I would agree with that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see what they find.
1 less green, 1 more yellow. Okay. Roll. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. 5 successes, 1 triumph, 1 threat.
Damn.
I'm very glad I upgraded that.
It's a good balance. All right, so I did my research into this whole thing, and I could crack some of the messages, which was good, and then confirming with the spy network meant that I could find the answers. You're hearing him again. He is up in the ship. This is just through your Voxcaster, but it's going to your data slate, and you can actually see his wizened old face with his like zooming in extendo eyes, and he's like, "It would appear that the wildcard idea wasn't actually suggested by Phyllis. She was furious and was looking for someone to be able to tell her what she should be doing in a way to exact vengeance. Those messages were coming from a number of anonymous accounts that, when fed through the Bane servers, it's linked to the Skull Shields. They were the ones to come up with the idea. A number of the transmissions could be traced back to the Draco Valens. So it would appear that the wild card is Jacinta Skullshield. She is currently on the Draco Valens, which means she will be hard to get to.
Right. Likely making a play against us once again, since we foiled her by surviving her first attack.
I mean, that's possible, but she would only be coming after you that way if you'd done something incredibly personal, not just foiled her in some sort of game.
Right. Well,
even killing her father gave her her own ship, so why would she come after you?
I believe it was a combination of her father dying and some financial transactions. Significant financial transactions.
Was this part of the mission, or are you slipping?
Oh.
The answer, as ever, will come out in the wash, won't it?
Well, I can't disagree. I'm just here to help. So, there's your answer. Knowing that you're, let's just say, shadily capable, it is worth flagging. Until the race starts, Jacinta is not under house protection, because the wild card does not have that status. So if you could find a way to take her off the table before the race starts, you wouldn't have to worry about her revealing any of your transactions.
Thank you, Abacus. That is valuable information. I'll take that under advisement.
Praise the Emperor.
Yes. And just hangs up.
Perfect. So there's the information you've received some
Thank you.
opportunities for craft. And with an excellent roll, there you go. That's why you get the bonus ideas.
Damn.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Nero, how do you want to look into the warehouse lane? Where do you want to get this information from? You've got planetary records, you've got Bane's records, and Invictus is still on the table if you wanted to leverage him.
I think what I would actually want to talk to is the if there's like an owner of the warehouse or a foreperson is kind of what I'm after, which is just again the like. I feel like if there's a weak point in this chain, it's whoever's day is going to be ruined by this. You know, like who's the bartender the night the fucking like drunk Santa like bar hop adventure comes through, who's like, God damn it, this is just my night now because SantaCon is here. Because I got to imagine if I run this functional warehouse that will still be functional when the race is happening, this is the goddamn worst day of my year. So that's who I'm after, to basically just be like, hey, I know this is going to be bad for you. Maybe I can make it less bad. Let's talk.
Fabulous. When you do your research, you find out that there is a Magos who is in charge of that warehouse district, specifically the whole thing, supervising the servitors and others. Her name is Octus Osmi, and you do find the information to be able to vox her directly.
Great.
Or you are the Inquisition. You could summon her to the Bolter Express if you wanted to. Your call.
I think I'll probably just call her because I want this to be as painless, like frictionless for her as possible, because I'm asking a favor. And possibly like if I have to flex the Interrogator, like if I have to flex the Inquisition, I can do that over the phone too. It's fine. But yeah, I'll call, I think, rather than bug her, unless there's time for me to physically go. But I suspect that's less possible. So I'll just give her a phone call.
Great. You find the number. You can ring through to her code directly. You're expecting it to ring, and then you're worried your line isn't working until you just hear burr, burr, and you realize she answered instantly.
Hey, hi. Yeah, hi. My name's Nero Abagnale of the Inquisition, and the Emperor has a couple of friendly questions for you. Is this Octus Osmi I'm talking to here today?
Switching over to verbal mode. Octus Osmi confirmed.
Octus, thank you so much for switching off binary. You know, it's a beautiful language, but I just don't have the ear for it. So I really appreciate that. Hey, listen, so look, the race is going through today, right? And I understand it's going to be running right through your warehouse.
Confirmed.
How are you feeling about that? Is that a good day for you or a bad day?
Unhappiness percentage high.
Yeah, I get that.
Production negatively affected.
Absolutely.
Political leadership unimportant.
Honestly, I got to agree with you. What is important is making sure efficiency is high and the job gets done. Am I right?
Approved.
Yeah, all right. Octus, listen. So I'm going to be part of one of the teams that's going to be running through your warehouse. And here's the deal. I just want my friend to be okay. And honestly, I just kind of want your assembly lines in your workspace to be efficient and as untouched by this whole stupid race as possible.
Agreed.
Great.
Please shift race elsewhere. You have inquisitorial status. Alter race.
You know what? That's a pretty good idea, Octus. Hey, look, you ever want to switch professions? I might have room for you on my team. But look, I can't actually do that this time. But what I can do is make you a little proposition. What do you say that you and I, we work together to make sure that my runner's got a nice, clear path? You can tell me what that is, and I'll tell her. So, you know, we're not going to go running. We're not going to interfere with your processes. We're not going to just, you know, get in there and make everything inefficient. We're going to be part of the efficiency of the factory. I want to make sure that she's got a nice, clean way to get through there. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, let's roll.
Nice.
I think I'll give you interrogation. There's a temptation for you to push this somewhere else, but I think no, it's your ability to read her and you're focused on efficiency.
It's also, yeah, and I think it is honestly like similar to an interrogation, just being like, I'm aware of what you want. I'm also leveling with you about what I want. Can I flex hard enough on making you think that what you want is what I want, and so on and so forth? So
yeah,
cool. I dig that. All right, cool. So we're going with interrogation.
So the difficulty will be 2 red challenge die.
Yep.
Because I'm using her perception. Basically, the one thing she would know is that you are the Inquisition and you are flesh, and the Inquisition and flesh both have a history of promising things to machines that they then do not deliver. So it's just past baggage affecting this, not really any part of the approach you made.
No, I totally get that. Okay, cool. Can I push for a boost because I am legitimately charmed by and best pals now with Ignatius, and as a result, like that binary thing wasn't really a bluff. That was me legitimately like, you're my best friends like this. I understand you.
Yeah, I think because Ignatius would have flagged you as a positive or trustworthy member in his own personal files that would be in the Mechanicus database, I will give you a yes. Because I think talking about it wouldn't work, but if you talked about it and Ignatius like gave you the version of like a mutual Facebook friend,
yeah, totally,
she would buy that.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Great. Okay, cool. So I got 1 green, 2 yellow, 2 red, 1 boost.
I'll give you a second boost because you have been approaching this through efficiency, so I think it's also just a good pitch.
All right. What's our story point situation looking like right now?
You've got 4, I've got 1.
Okay. I am going to use 1.
Cool.
Nero wouldn't. I mean, he's worried about having to run bodyguard as well, but like he knows how squishy Sister Mina ultimately is in this greater thing. So literally, just taking 1 threat off the table now means an awful lot to him. Cool. Let's roll. 3 successes after just a tremendously strange spread of dice.
Your offering is reasonable. This plan makes sense. So here is what I would suggest. The warehouse is a straight line. Any other path is inefficient. You should go straight through. However, there is a risk of ambush. As such, I suggest a vehicle through. It must be open-topped, for runners are not allowed to ride inside a vehicle, but a runner could land on top of one and be transported through the warehouse. After that, they would be caught on film and eliminated. But this portion could be armored, perhaps an open-topped vehicle with armored sides, or sit on top of truck. Flesh is weak.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea, and you're absolutely right. Flesh is weak and honestly kind of inefficient. Here's
Disgusting.
a question. Yeah, agreed. So hey, that's all good. The only thing I need from you, Octus, I think then is how do you feel about getting me the dimensions? Because I want to make sure that I've got the most efficient possible vehicle for this job. And I think he would just like exchange, like would just get a full rundown of like exactly the size that Octus would. 'Cause I mean, I know Octus is saying this is a straight line, but like Nero's a man who has gotten, Austin-powered vehicles into things before, I think. So he's very much like, I want to show up in like a giant APC and just get stuck. So I think we don't need to RP that, but I think
I think what you'll do is you ask the question and you just get a blast of binary again, and Octus cuts the line, and you're like, what the fuck happened? And then your data slate just projects it. It's one of those email things that automatically updates, so you can load that in and review it inside the center thing. If the rest of the group returns with the information they have, you're all looking at Warehouse Lane as it pops up. It is a straight line. It is a very dangerous straight line. There are foundry buckets swinging overhead. There are a number of places where people could either knock giant pieces of equipment over or drive, if they can overhaul servitors or other things to block the way. But there is enough space that, yes, you could drive a Torox through the center of this thing. And with enough momentum, it could be possible to just get past whatever could be there if that's where people choose to ambush you, because everybody's dealing with all of the other kind of participants. So you all have done some research. You've discovered the Wildcard is Jacinta Skullshield, but she could theoretically be eliminated. You've discovered Warehouse Lane. There is a way to hack it with Octus Osmi covering for you because she really just wants things to be left alone. And it's all happening under the Emperor's light inside a meditation chamber, which means even Sister Mina, you're feeling a glimmer of hope. Maybe for you, maybe for Seth, maybe for this conversation. Which has got to be nerve-wracking for all of you when it seems like everything is going right, but you know that everything always ends up going wrong. And that's when you've got to decide the last things you need before you step into a race for the system, for your lives, and possibly to stop or fail to stop Homo Novus. From the personal audio recordings of Fabius Bile. This is not about cleverness, it is about survival. The survival of my creations, of humanity itself. And the survival of your inquisitorial band as you're forced into some psychotic death race to decide the governor of a system that is very important to the Imperium, and not necessarily that important to you personally, but for the Imperium. You've all done your research this morning. You've all come back with your information. I imagine you would all present it. I don't know if anyone would keep anything secret that they had found, which means it's now time for you to decide what to do. From your plans, knowing there are 4 of you and there are 4 activities that can be done, obviously there's the favor that needs to be called in. Somebody might want to sort out the vehicle. Then you have 2 other people to do 2 other question mark things. Ignatius will be tied up for this afternoon because he is finishing building the EMP, which is a complicated device. Unless you want to pull him off that, in which case it might be less likely to work, but you can put his expertise elsewhere.
Right. After explaining the threat of the Wildcard being Jacinta Skullshield likely coming for us once again, and that she is not under the protection of the houses prior to that, Seth will say, is there value in cashing in that favor with the Navy just a little bit earlier and having them take out her ship that she's aboard? Or to have, I can't remember the name, but like the police force, the
Adeptus Arbites. It's Chastener Bo-Katan to be the guy that you'd reach out to, but
right. Or to have Chastener Bo-Katan have her arrested for or executed for heresy. That might not require a favor, actually. As Seth is like thinking out loud, and just kind of like the web is kind of being spun. It's really just a matter
of play that Inquisition card. Just like
I will save you a streetwise roll on this.
Yeah.
What I would say is Bo-Katan would undoubtedly agree to that, especially if you could say that she'd made a personal attack on the Inquisition and you have enough evidence. Mm-hmm. The question would be, could Bo-Katan find her before she can secrete herself into the race? Because she doesn't have a starting position. She can just interfere.
Right. A follow-up question. Once she has inserted herself into the race, is she protected, or does Bo-Katan's justice still like
that
prevail?
Would be
over?
Up to your pitch.
Okay. So the rules are not necessarily clear on that if a heretic joins the...
Because a wild card is a new idea, it doesn't have, like...
It's not black and white.
It'll come down to, like, what's the argument afterwards politically?
Okay.
It's also worth noting the wild card... Theoretically, you would be having more issues with, if you were to run through this psychologically, and you're all smart enough politically to be able to do this. The wild card was only added to appease House Vance, so you just might make Gazzy's position with his new house slightly less stable, but it's not like there's anybody who's going to be out for blood in defense of Jacinta that you're aware of.
Yeah.
You might piss off like Pedez and the Adeptus Mercantile, because after Nero and then Jacinta, there's like not a rogue trader on the ship anymore.
Right. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I know. Welcome to political ramifications.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you might piss off someone, but it also might mean you don't die.
Yeah, and the scheming guy thing is, I'm still trying to figure it out.
So he's stuck in scheming mode, which I think means the other 3 of you have 2 clear goals that you would need to do between the 3 of you. And then there's, what is the third person going to do? I think Seth is falling into, he's going to figure out what the favor is, because that feels like where his steering is going. So you've got a vehicle that you want to deal with, and then whatever else you want to experiment with. Nero, I imagine you probably come in hot because you've got the most cohesive and visual piece of research.
Yeah. I think given that we've got the in with the Inquisition and the Taurox, I think I would probably just revert back to that as I'd done previously. I'll explain what I got from Octazosmi, and just in general, kind of the idea of like it turns out there isn't really a trick, to this warehouse space. It really is just kind of a fucking murder line. So anything we can do to prevent you from getting murdered while running a straight line, I think we should probably do so. So yeah, he'll set out to requisition the vehicle. I think, given that it can't officially be used anyway, I'm not too hesitant to just be like, "Hey, Invictus, I need this for reasons. I'm running some errands. I need to get milk."
Right. Do you think you would stay to help the others plan, or would you be like, I'm on the vehicle, I'm going to go do that?
Oh, no, he would 100% stay to plan. It's
cool.
Whenever the action phase kicks in, that's what he'd do.
That's great.
But, yeah.
So, Mina, you come back and present your information, and you also get a ring from your data slate. Do you have a ring you would use for people you don't really like, or is she somebody who's like death unto loyalty is all she gets?
Yeah, I think she doesn't get that many phone calls, so she doesn't. It's not like Seth where she's like separated it out. It's just like, oh, phone call. So she would look and see who it is.
It's Krungus Marcus.
I think. Are they all in the room together?
Yes.
She would hold it up and be like, what? Should I answer this? What? So we got his name on it.
I'll look to the spinning vials. And just glower at the lack of green or red light about whether he's Homo Novus or not, and then I'll turn back and say, I mean, yeah, probably. Although, honestly, the last few times I've told you to answer a call, it's gone tremendously badly. So,
She's going to put it on speakerphone.
All right. What information do you have for me about the other houses this time?
I already gave you your favor that we agreed upon.
No, that's not how this works. You said you'd give me information every time until I became the governor. I'm not the governor yet. But good advice yesterday. I took it to heart and it all worked out. Roberto's dead. What a dick.
Yes. Well.
You're the best spy I've ever had. You give such good advice and then I win.
All right, here we're going for it. I heard information that Jacinta Skullshield is going to intervene in the match and attempt to kill you.
Let's roll a deception.
Oh, no.
Seth was like nodding and then just very strongly shaking his
off
head.
into the
Arms waving.
She's like there and then
Yeah.
It was so good until like the last word.
Yeah.
All right. Your difficulty will be
it's gonna be 4.
1
More than
purple and 3
No.
red.
No.
What the hell?
Seth, take the wheel. Do I have to take strain from talking to him too?
You do, but it'll come back at the end of the scene, so
Alright,
you're not
alright.
going to go down to 0 in the terms of this scene, so I wouldn't worry about it here.
Should I even try to use a story point? This is silly.
Oh my god.
Like, listen, would Mina try? This isn't Isdell doing
Yeah,
math.
yeah.
This is would Mina try with all her heart.
Yeah. I mean, that is her try. She's trying.
She's all
I
about
want
effort.
Mina
She's effort all
social
the
checks
time.
forever.
maximum effort.
Oh.
A for effort and nothing else.
I'm
right.
going to give you a boost because technically what you're saying is true, and I'm going to give you a setback because he has no fucking way to verify it.
Oh. No. All right. Okay, it's 1 green, 1 yellow, 1 purple, 3 red, a boost and a setback. I think that's right. It's
Yep.
deception, right?
Yep.
That's it. I just got 2 cunning. That's it. All right. Are you ready? Are you
I
ready
am.
for whatever
I'm
whatever mess
excited.
I have made of this?
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is great. I love this.
Oh, it's bad, guys. It's bad. 2 advantages,
Yeah.
4 failures, and a despair.
Wow.
All right.
Oh, so you're trying to set me up so that I take out Jacinta Skull Shield because she clearly has a problem with fucking you. Now I know I gotta look after Jacinta Skull Shield because she's on my team and you owe me information or I give her a bigger gun that'll kill you.
Mina will look to everybody and then just put her finger and hang up on him. I hate the phone. I hate the people here.
It starts ringing again.
She is like 2 seconds away from smashing her own data slate right here.
I love her decision not to attempt any type of damage control. Just cut her losses and hang up.
Yeah.
As her phone keeps ringing,
wish I
do
could do
any
that.
of you react to
Yeah, she
this?
can interfere
And if
with
so, how?
I mean, Seth
What is everybody
fuming.
looking like as this happens? Because Warden is the same. This makes no difference to him.
Oh
Seth,
my God.
You know, the nature of his eyes makes his face usually quite inscrutable, but he is obviously angry with you. He is like gnashing his teeth and just gripping the table.
Piper, what's the physical reaction from Piper here?
I think Piper is kind of, as usual, she kind of has her arms folded and is just kind of like standing off to the side, like seeing what's going on.
Excuse me.
And I think she laughs, gives like a single ha, and shakes her head.
Nero,
damn.
how are you doing?
Yeah, in the ballpark of the single laugh, I think. I think honestly, he's just kind of frozen, just staring at, just kind of like slowly scanning between the phone and Mina and Seth, and the phone and Mina and Seth, where it's just like he knows what he's heard, he knows exactly what just happened, but it feels so surreal to him that that's how it all went down, that it's just this tremendous moment of like, but did it? So I think he's just, it's just looking between them, trying to let the reality catch up to his poor fractured brain as he sits there. And because he's Nero, I think he'll mutter under his breath something to the effect of like, I mean, I did tell her the last time it was bad. I mean, it's kind of an I told you so moment, I guess. And then I'll just like look back up to Seth being like, is there murder? I don't know.
The call, the data slate goes silent for a moment, and then it starts ringing again. Does anyone say anything or do anything?
Seth kind of trying to kind of like regain his cool, like both hands just like tried like slicking his hair back, of just like holding the back of his neck kind of and says, do you have any legitimate information to give him?
I only have the information that all of us have. Is there something that would be useful?
Give him anything on House Bane. Not our connection. You can give him that House Bane knows about the power armor.
All right.
He's not going to stop calling.
Over the sound of ringing, she picks up again.
I would like to try to augment, essentially boost her confidence. I would like to try to cast into her mind basically an image. It's almost like a feeling of being like hugged by the Aquila, like just being like embraced.
Great. So let's roll for that, and then we'll know how that
Okay.
affects this.
Okay, let me know what my difficulty is.
Can I add something? If she's on her data slate, can I send her like an SMS message?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you guys have micro beads, so I think you can try to Cyrano de Bergerac this if you want to just whisper where you're sitting and she'll hear it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get the Piper roll just because I want to know how that's factoring into everything.
So the default is an average difficulty check, but
Great. I think that's appropriate. She's so thrown that I don't think she'd even have her regular mental defenses up, so that works.
Do I get my boost from my meditation, or is that only for the race?
No, that'll just no, because I think this came out of nowhere. It'll still affect the race,
fair.
but this was not an intended use. It was not like, in 2 minutes from now, I will have to help someone panicking deal with the house leader.
Yeah. And I really don't want to. No, I'm not going to risk that. Okay, cool. 4 successes, 1 threat.
So how does your power work, and what does that do for her?
Essentially, so it basically casts like an inspirational image into her mind, and it will add 1 ability die to any skill checks that she makes.
Great. What I will say from the threat, you do feel the Emperor with you, Mina. You suddenly feel more religiously inspired. However, it does increase your confidence, perhaps a hair further than it otherwise should.
Yep. Perfect. Good luck, Seth.
Oh no, I did too much.
I feed you the information that through the microbead. I'll do it. So I'm in your ear saying this. You may also tell Marcus that a transaction from Nero's skull shield ultimately wound up in the hands of Lucia Bane, a significant amount of money before his untimely demise, and that he may use that to gain allyship with Jacinta's skull shield. That her father's money is in Lucia Bane's hands.
At that point, you pick up the call and you just hear Krungus go,
Did you fucking hang up on me? No one fucking hangs up on me. I'm the king of this world. I'll eat your feet.
What?
All right. Amina takes a deep breath and she's like, all right, listen here, you brute. I am a member of the Emperor's Holy Inquisition, and I have been trained as an Adeptus Sororitas, and you will listen to me.
I'm the one who called you. Of course I'll fucking listen. Just tell me something useful. I'll eat your feet. Boots and all.
Go back to that well twice? My God.
You need to get new material. But, oh boy. All right, this is all I am going to tell you, and you are not going to ask me for a favor again. You have run out your welcome with the Inquisition. I can pass on to you that Lucia Bane knows about the power armor. And in addition to what...
Wait, what's she doing about the power armor?
I am not finished speaking.
I know, but I had a fucking question. What's she doing about the power armor?
okay, let's roll because it's kind of fun. Coercion.
I am dying.
Oh,
Coercion, but you get an extra die.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
You are going up against difficulty. It'll be difficulty 4, 1 red.
Interesting.
I'm using 2 different stats interchangeably for when he's a little bit thrown. The power armor information did throw him, so his negotiating stats get worse. There's like confident negotiation, and then there's less sure but still important.
Very interesting.
You've shifted to less sure but still important.
Okay. So I get 1 extra die or an upgrade?
Yeah, from
a bonus green.
me.
Aside from the information itself, mechanically, is Seth assisting in any way, or is it the confidence boost from Piper that we're mainly using?
You pitched the power armor, so I would argue that's the thing that threw off Krungus.
Got it.
So
just wanted to make sure.
Cool.
Way better to do that than just add like a boost. This is, I think, a better win for the party.
Yeah.
You've got those additional dice. I will use a story point against you because Krungus is scary and you are getting real fucking feisty, which is totally in character and wonderful in terms of RP. Just has to be dealt with in terms of consequences.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
Are you going to use a story point in turn because you are empowered by the Emperor?
I can pass it if I do not. So
Great.
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is none of this at all.
I hate that it says specifically like I cannot stack the effect.
Oh.
Gosh, damn it.
She'll do it again.
I also love that you're giving me a different stat, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She's garbage at all of this. Okay. So I've got 2 green, 1 yellow, 2 purple, 2 red.
It's
Feels
passable.
right. Let's go for it.
Right.
There's a hope in that. There's a chance.
There's an Emperor's hope in here. 1 success, 2 threats. We passed.
I'll take it.
We successed.
Okay, that was good information about the power armor, and yesterday was also pretty good, so I don't... Okay, if your next thing is good, then yes, favor paid off because you and I are friends, but don't be so fucking uppity about it. What do you got?
All right. The only other information I have for you, friend, is that considering my earlier tip about Jacinta's Skull Shield, if you would look into transactions, there was one made between Nero Skull Shield's money into, gosh, I can't remember. House Bane. Is it Bane?
Yeah, House Bane. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
The crux of it is Lucia Bane has Nero Skullshield's money.
Sweating.
Wait, you cut out on me. Are you listening to someone else tell you what to say?
No,
Then what are you fucking saying?
I'm saying that the reason that Jacinta Skullshield is angry is because 100 million thrones were transferred into House Bane from her father's estate. And
She's saying Nero paid off Lucia Bane, and then the Inquisition killed Nero because he was teaming up with Bane?
I do not wish to speak on the implications of that.
Interesting. Like you did yesterday, this is giving me a hint.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So just like yesterday, I'm going to have to break some rules and tell some lies, but in the end, it'll make my life better.
Yes, you would be able to make an ally in Jacinta Skullshield if you had the understanding of the dealings of which she is angry about. That is the hint.
Exactly. Okay, let's just do a quick roll. This is truth. What do you think you would be using for this? It's not charm.
I have scholastic lore.
Okay, let's go scholastic lore. I'll give you that.
To
'cause
be
this is
fair, this is also the role that put me into this tailspin. The original role that made me screw up and cause a coup, basically.
Professor Mina. So let's scholastic lore. The difficulty will be 4, 3 of which are red.
Fucking
Back on that hard mode.
Yeah.
So structured encounters, the ability, my ability only lasts one round, but narrative encounters are more flexible. So I think
keep it
argue
going.
I can still keep it going. Yeah.
Yes.
I can
Yeah,
get
I'd be
another
with you on
green.
that. Yep. I am going to use a story point to upgrade that to all 4 reds.
All right, so let's get another story point in there, baby.
Yep.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. So
Oh my
this
God.
is 2 green, 2 yellow versus the 4 reds. Final Aquila countdown.
There's our title.
I'm so scared. I'm sweating.
Final Aquila countdown.
Right? Oh my dear God. 2 successes, 1 threat.
What?
Play of the game.
I mean,
there.
it is the play of the game, except the head of each house can force you to re-roll 1 social check per scene because they are
Secret
expert
roll.
negotiators. So I need you to re-roll that
right.
whole roll.
All right, here we go. I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look at it.
Marcus is an expert negotiator.
They all are.
Oh my word, it's even weirder. Okay. 3 successes.
Okay.
2 threats.
Okay.
1 despair.
Oh.
Oh no.
That's the Aquila way.
I can also make you reroll social encounters.
Can you?
No.
Oh.
I can,
So 3
Emperor
success,
bless.
but also 2 threat plus a despair. Holy shit.
that is wild.
There's a lot going on there.
Okay,
Wow.
okay. So the story that I got is Nero Skullshield gave 100 million thrones to House Bane for services they did not render, and House Bane farmed out the Inquisition to kill him, to cover it up so they could keep the money, which means that your team and House Bane are working together, which means that there is a Cologne-Bane alliance, and I can talk Jacinta Skullshield into trying to kill both of your teams because you corrupt and killed her father, which helps me. Excellent, thank you. And he hangs up. And that, you realize, is now one of his contributing factors. However, because there were some successes in there, this news being passed along will mean Jacinta is not sure. It used to just be your team was the target, but now there are 2 teams that are the target. However, it's now confirmed you were involved and that the Inquisition were working as hitmen for House Bane.
Seth is up from the table or wherever we were like, it's just like, that'll do. I have to make some calls and just immediately needs to call Lucia Bane and I forget his name again. The Adeptus Arbites.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah.
Okay, so at this point, it's become decision time. We know Nero is going to deal with the vehicle. We know Seth is on the favor. Mina, you've done this. This is a thing.
Yeah.
I think you might just be sitting there, so I'm going to come back to you for your activity.
Okay.
Piper, I think the situation is probably equally horrifying and hilarious. It's still technically a net gain from where it was a minute ago and a severe step down from where it was before that. What do you want to do? You've already done your meditation. Clearly, it's time for you to go and interact with somebody. I also want to point out, you could look into if you wanted better weapons for the team, if you wanted better armor for the team. You don't have a favor, but you do have friends.
I do actually want to get better armor, because I'm just like realizing like I'm gonna have to go along. I'm gonna have to be along for the ride if I'm gonna be of any help. And clearly, like the way things have gone so far, we need the fucking help. So I want to get like very, very much armor, at least for myself.
Okay, I think we can extrapolate that, and if you want to check for the team to see if there is anything you can get for them, you can kind of speak for everybody.
Yeah.
People may be comfortable in their own gear, so they may not want you to look for things for them, but you'll be able to bring back options depending on what you find. Who do you want to approach to get that from? In the building, there's Invictus. Otherwise, you could approach House Cologne. Or
Invictus?
theoretically anyone, but those are the two probably easiest friends.
Oh,
Invictus,
God.
great. So you're, or do you want to try House Cologne?
What benefit would Invictus give me?
He's closer, and here's the challenge, I think. With House Cologne, you're going to be looking at relatively standard equipment, but they're very likely to have it or have copies. With Invictus, it's going to be chaotic. It could be very exotic and exciting. It could be dog shit.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I gotta go see Invictus. Just the standard shit, just like all the other teams are going to be expecting it. So I think Piper's just like, well, we gotta roll the dice and like get something like better.
Piper is so desperate that Piper will approach the untouchable to see what armor can be found. Mina, they've all gone off to do their own thing. What do you want to do now that you have no direction and yet again another looming threat to the group you carried out by, for some reason, needing to argue with house leaders?
It makes sense to her. Oh boy. I think that I was also thinking about possible armor or weapons stuff.
If you want to follow, you could do a weaponry hunt along with the armor hunt. And then I would just let you cover offense and defense to see what could be found.
Yeah, I think that because it feels like something less likely to screw up on sort of situation.
Fabulous.
And I would think that she could go talk to the house people if Piper is talking to Invictus.
Yeah, so you've got Truncheon Cranius, who seems to be a big fan of yours, as well as giving you weapons. So you could call him, and he could probably make a delivery if you didn't want to go talk to Invictus to look for more, for lack of a better term, absurdist materials.
Yes, I think that would probably be good.
Okay, so we've got this all laid out. Let's start with Nero, because you've got something that seems relatively straightforward here. Who are you going to talk to about the vehicle? I imagine Invictus. I would allow these as two separate conversations because Invictus has to farm out vehicle stuff. It's not like he's going to be welding.
Sure, yeah. So no, I'll go back, to Invictus. Again, not having as adverse a reaction to him, although now that I'm a little more centered, he is more unsettling to me.
Yes.
The more unraveled I am, the more okay I am with him. But, I had a good sleep, which is always a real problem for Nero. So, so I'll arrive and...
so his room is almost an exact match of yours, just one floor down, only it's strewn with garbage. There's meals going bad. There's also incredibly expensive equipment laid all over the place with like drinks on top of it and really bad. He's the worst.
Yeah, I'll walk in and I think just take all that in, but also just knowing how the Inquisition works in general, be like, yep. These people don't understand money, and neither do I, so fuck it. How much does bread cost? We never need to know. I'll walk in and just say, hey, yeah, Invictus, how you doing today? You doing good?
Yes, I am living in the Emperor's work. It is excellent.
Yeah, I'm actually here about the Emperor's work. Now, look, I know that the Inquisition can't have an official presence in the games, of course,
Correct.
But here's the thing. The servants of the Emperor, including yours truly here, we are going to be in this game, and we are going to be under threat. So I need to borrow a Torox. Now, before you get worried, I know the last one, didn't turn out so well, and I'm real sorry about that. Again, I'll talk to my team. We'll see if we can get more. But as you know, we're on a bit of a holy mission here. So I don't need it. We're not going to cheat. We're not going to use it for anything untoward. We're simply going to use it to move through a dangerous place a little bit faster. We're not going to try and assault people with it or anything else. We just need it for a couple minutes to make sure one of the Emperor's most faithful servants doesn't get shot into mincemeat.
Interesting.
All right, let's do a roll. I would take interrogation. I would take charm.
Yeah, I would go, I think on this one, interrogation makes sense only because I feel like my only argument here is you're Inquisition, I'm Inquisition, let's make a deal.
Yeah,
I
makes sense to
don't
me.
think I'm capable of charming him, nor do I think I would try. Let's
do that. I don't think he's tremendously resistant, but he does have the reputation of the Inquisition to defend. So I would say 3 purple.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because he wants to make the deal, but he also is aware that maybe he shouldn't.
Yeah, I would push for a setback because the last time I borrowed a Torox, it got blown apart on national television.
That is true. That is true. I will say you will also get a boost, though, because the last time you took a Torox out, servants of the Inquisition were murdered. And he does not want to lose assets for the Inquisition. He's not interested in seeing you all die playing this game. That's a bad call.
Right. All right. That's cool. I like that. Cool. I don't think I'm going to use story points on this, largely because I think Nero would be confident enough that he would just get this, that if he doesn't, it's going to be a cruel surprise, but he's not like forcefully trying to do it. All right, off we go. 2 success, 2 threat.
Yes. All right, we can do this.
And he jumps out of his chair, which for him is just, he's only vaguely taller when he stands up out of a chair than sitting in a chair because he's just a little weird man.
And he's like, all right, sir, I'm going to need a single throne.
And he holds out a hand for one of the throne chips. You'll have one, so you can just kind of hand it to him.
Congratulations, you just bought a Torox. I can't have anyone from the Inquisition work on it because that would be our involvement, but I know a local mechanic, Carl Carlson. Or call him up and he'll come out back and the two of you can make the vehicle into whatever you need it to be.
Well, I gotta say it's a pleasure to do business with you, Invictus. I'd say I got a hell of a deal, and you're a good servant of the Emperor. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Now go get to work with Carl. I'll send the message. I am Invictus.
And then he runs into a room, jumps into the air, and just lands on the bed face first like a kid celebrating a hotel room bed. And
I stare after him with just a legitimate sense of longing and loss, because I don't think Nero has ever been as happy as Invictus just was leaping into his trash bed. I don't want to leap onto his trash bed, but there's just something about it, the simplicity and straightforward nature of this weird little man. And I kind of look after him like, Emperor speed, you fucking delightful weirdo. And then I'll just mutter that to myself and go meet Carl Carlson to work on the Torox.
Amazing. So you're heading down to do that. Mina, you get to make a call while Piper has to go take the elevator down to Invictus. So we'll cut to you next. You can call through to Trench and Crane. He said, what do you need?
I need weapons. Please. Hello.
Amazing. What do you want? I'll get it delivered and kill whoever you want. Yeah, murder. As long as it's not, House Cologne. Or, I guess, Vance. Now, Cologne. We're going to have to sort out that fucking name. What do you need?
Yes, congratulations on your new house. I think bombs? Lots of bombs. Nero is good with bombs. Would appreciate them. In a case, something carryable.
So you want like a bomb out of a marauder that's inside a carrying case that you can...
No. I need things that are usable by normal people's hands. I understand that you are quite strong and capable of handling many heavy weapons, but unfortunately my team are rather smaller than that.
Okay, you want like a grenade launcher or like an RPG or a las cannon? Think of it, here, let me make this easy for you. Imagine you're talking to an Imperial Guard quartermaster for a whole regiment. I have what that has. What do you want? You can have 3 things.
All right. Could we have, let's see, melter bombs?
Yes, to be clear, because you seem kind of confused about the bombs. Melter bombs are generally used on buildings or tanks. Not so much people. So they're not bombs in the traditional sense.
All right. Do you have crack grenades?
Now that I got. All right, crack grenades. Putting them in a bag. I give you 1. How many are you? 4? All right, you get 1 each.
All right. What about smoke grenades?
Oh, you're really doubling down on the grenades. Okay, you can have 4 of those.
And then, let's see. I guess a las gun?
What, just a regular las? You could take that from one of the guys outside your building. Don't you want something sexy?
Yes. What would you... It is the final one would be your choice, whatever you think would be sexy.
I'm going to say man-portable las cannon. That gun fucks. All right, I'll send that over to you right now. Be over in bus in a minute.
Thank you very much, Truncheon. You are a great asset and help, and on a dismal day, praise the Emperor.
You're like the coolest girl I know. All right, bye. He just hangs up. So weapons are on their way to be delivered. You will receive 4 crack grenades, 4 smoke grenades, and a man-portable las cannon. Amazing. Meanwhile, Piper, you arrive downstairs at Invictus's place. He is laying face down in his bed, T-posed Christ style, yelling into a sheet meeting like, Carol Carlson, I need you to come to the back of the building. He's got a pillow in his mouth, so that's why he sounds so muffled.
Right. Is he on a call?
You think he may have a microbead. You're not entirely sure.
All right. Piper very hesitantly steps into the room and just kind of takes a deep breath and braces herself to Invictus?
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard myself farting, but instead it's you. What's going on?
Jesus.
He'll stand up, put his hands on his little hips, look at you.
Basically mirroring me.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's make this quick. I need armor, really good armor, armor that will work against all the shit that will be thrown at us in this race. And she's literally not even looking at him. She's kind of got her eyes closed, just I just need good armor.
So
did anyone else want armor? You had said that I would have discussed with everyone.
I think with what you're doing, it'll actually be more a question of what he has, and then you can offer it around.
Yeah.
If you'd gone to the other place, it could be everyone wants carapace, whereas this is going to be kind of more strange.
No, that's fair. Okay.
So that means we are going to protective gear.
Oh. And she's getting a headache. She's don't you have a limiter or something you can put on?
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're one of those. I get a headache when you're around. I'm a psycho. The gods in the warp are real. Whatever.
And he's just flipping through garbage around the room.
Can you requisition me a limiter at the same time?
I don't know what those are. Stop wasting my time. So you need something to protect you from the crowd or from, security or the other hunters or...
No, from
what
the
scale of
other...
danger?
From the other people in the race who are going to be attacking us.
Okay.
Let's roll a check. So this is more a question of can you get through the fact that he finds you innately dislikable because you're obviously rude to him.
Yeah.
He's used to people having to swallow their dislike a little more, so he doesn't handle it terribly well because he doesn't handle anything terribly well because he sucks. Do you think this is coercion? Do you think this is maybe I would argue it could be survival, just having to deal with him while you're trying to not die?
I would say it's almost more of a discipline.
Okay, trying to keep it together while you talk with him. I believe that. I would say let's do... You've asked for stuff against the other players, which means you'll theoretically get something better. All right, let's... here's the question. Do you want... And this is a Piper question, because you could give one more question that you know would probably push him into a Hail Mary. It'll be something amazing, or you'll get nothing. Or do you want to just kind of see what happens in a safer roll?
I'll push it.
Great. Let's go with discipline then.
Yeah.
The difficulty you're against will be 4.
Okay.
2 of which will be red.
Ooh.
I am using a story point for that. So it would have
Okay.
just been 1 red, but I'm upgrading to 2.
Okay. I will upgrade as well.
Great. What are you rolling currently?
2-2. 2 and 2 against 2 and 2.
Great. I'm going to give you a bonus or a boost die because he doesn't want Inquisitorial servants to die. Even if he doesn't like you, you might be useful to Nero. I'm going to give you another boost because you are a psyker. Even though he hates you for it, you're more useful to Nero than other members of the team.
Right.
I am going to give you a setback because you're kind of rude.
Yep. That's fair.
And I'm going to give you another setback because I think he prevents you from even being like charming because he's just so grating.
Oh, God.
What is the one more thing you say to him to really stress how important this is?
Oh, she literally like holds down like throwing up a little bit in her mouth. And just says, Nero and Seth and Mina and Warden and myself, we're trusting you to get us through this. I'm coming to you trusting you'll help.
All right, take off one of those setback die. I feel like that was a good thing. Even if you hated saying it, it makes him feel powerful. All right, let's go for the roll. Let's see how much you won him over.
Oh, fuck, I don't like this roll. Oh, God. Weird. 3 successes, 4 threats.
3 successes, 4 threats. That is a weird one.
Yeah. Man, half the dice just came up blank. That was a weird one.
Oh, man. 3 successes, 4 threats. He looks at you and he stops and he thinks for a moment. And he says,
Yes, well. If I thought you could cover up the usage of it, I could have brought in that one suit of Terminator armor we had. But no, they'd recognize that too swiftly, and traditional power armor still seems a little bit gauche, one could say. However, I do have a suit of light power armor available on this world. I could have that brought over.
what did you roll again?
3 successes, 4 threats.
3 successes, 4 threats.
Only the one. The second one's under repair. But if you need a suit of light power armor to assist one of you, yes, I could have that delivered scrubbed of our, insignia. So one of you could bear that into combat under the banners of House Cologne or whoever you choose. Is this acceptable?
Yes. Oh, more than acceptable.
Okay, and yeah. Oh, I found this. there's a refractor field. It'll work for you. It won't work for anyone else, but it'll work for you. So you can throw that on. I need it back at the end, though. You can't keep that. It's not yours. It's mine.
It's honest. She's actually like pretty stoked about that. So
And he reaches inside his jacket
God.
and he pulls out a necklace. And you see it's actually covered in wooden beads that clearly contain his like musk smell that is incredibly unpleasant. And he puts it on you and says,
This will keep you safe if you turn it on.
I think she just like, as soon as it's on her, she like steps back like so fast.
To activate it, you have to say the passphrase. Invictus forever.
Oh, bloody fucking hell. So she's going to test it out, like, Invictus forever.
a visible field springs up around you. It hovers about 1.5 feet away from your body the whole way around. You can see through it, but it's got a shimmer. So clearly, if it's active, it will deflect things at range. It will help up close, but not necessarily as much. However, it will be almost impossible to stealth around with it active.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
So if you don't want to draw attention, you'll have to keep it off. But if you're going into combat, you can turn it on for additional kind of deflection.
Okay, and I can turn it on and off at will?
As long as you say Invictus forever.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, you've been super helpful. I'm gonna wait for that light.
That sounds great. I'm going to jump on my bed and give orders. I'm Invictus! Inquisition!
And he's just jumping up and down on the bed, super amped.
The fuck is wrong? Oh, gotta get that bloody fucking limiter. She kind of mumbles to herself as she's leaving.
Meanwhile, upstairs, Seth, who are you calling and how do you want to call in this favor?
I still want to use the favor for the bombardment on the Radhabs.
Great.
Would I still be able to use this time to make multiple calls? There's a couple.
When
gambits.
you say multiple calls, is this delivering messages or are these conversations you need to have?
I mean, 2 would be messages. 1, alerting Bo-Katan to the heresy and basically putting out a warrant for execution of Jacinta.
Yep.
That doesn't need to be a conversation.
That feels like a freebie to me. Yeah, you can put that in the system.
The other message that doesn't require conversation would be sending instructions and notifying the Navy that we're calling in our favor. I might use Vulcan Ziggler as the point of contact.
Yeah, he'd be relatively easy for you to contact and you're able to relay things.
Right. Okay.
Also, if you wanted to keep it quiet, he'd be the guy you message. If there's like a message that goes to the captain of the fleet,
I was hoping, that he's high up enough that gets things going and stuff like that. And we're also looking for, like talented people at the helm for this kind of precision strike.
Yeah, with Vulcan, you can. I mean, you would know this. You can actually call in the strike from the flagship, which is in orbit around the world. So that's as good as it will ever get. Yeah, you good.
Okay. Actually, specifically about that, would it be that we call it in like from the ground? We would just say like now, or would it be we would leave instructions like when Marcus's runner enters the rad hub?
I think you'd have to call it from the ground.
Okay,
because they're not going to have an observer down there.
Okay. Okay.
That starts getting into like how many favors is it for them to send down a crew of spotters versus the other.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So we have to call it in. That's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. But that's allowed. And who do you want to talk to?
Lucia Bane.
The call goes through. Hello, friend. How can I help you?
Seth is like riding the like real stress and panic of the situation and is trying to kind of work with it. I've written down all of my ideas here because I'm trying to be like that schemy scoundrel. So he'll say, Lucia, we have a few problems.
I'm listening.
Jacinta Skullshield knows that you are in possession of her father's fortune, her father's money.
How does she know that?
I'm still working that part out.
All right. Their dad's dead, so that'd be. What else he got?
I wanted to say Marcus, but that's his house's name. What's his name.
Krungus Marcus.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Krungus Marcus appears to have received intel revealing that we are working in tandem. I spoke to you recently about leaks. Have you seen to that yet?
The majority of people inside my we could say house turned out to be clean. The people that I knew were spies, but none of them had the information. And talk about our link. This is interesting. I wonder where the leak is. How leaky is your Inquisition?
I've checked on my people, and the leak could not have come from us.
Let's roll a deception on that one. That feels like the deception point of this whole thing.
Yeah, when everyone else on the show has their like hands over their mouth and face in an oh no, that is usually a good time for such rolls.
All right, the difficulty will be, I'm going to use a story point, 4 red.
Okay.
God, Tyler, I love the confidence with which you said that.
So good. So good.
It's just 4 red, no purple?
4 red, no purple.
Okay. I am going to use a story point as well.
Great.
Because this is, Seth basically like needs these things to work. And so he's just tapping into like the very real adrenaline of the perceived adrenaline of, oh shit. Like we need to get our houses in order. Lucia, you and me, we're pals. But it's the real like, oh shit. These, we are the Inquisition, but while we're on their world, these people have real power. Kind of, oh shit.
Ryan hates to do this to you, but the world demands it. You are low class and she is high class, so that will be set back.
Yeah. 1 or 2. I can't remember where we settled on that. I'm just going to quickly have a look.
I think I would say just 1 this time.
It's even 1. It is 1 either way.
Boost 1 no matter what.
Low class or, okay.
I will add a boost for you though, because you have proven useful before. This is the rare case where she called in a big favor and you delivered. So this is the strength of friendship.
Okay. I have more that I want to say to her. It might impact, like I have more to give her, kind of like more information to gift to her. Would it impact my ability to run this one by her if I improved her demeanor or gave her more information to work with? You know what? Sorry, that's getting too meta.
I think
she's like she's trying to suss me out right here and now with this statement.
I think
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
this is the question: like, does she interrupt or do you get to keep talking? Kind of thing. Okay. So let's see how this plays out.
Okay, rolling. 1 success, and that is all.
Hey,
you get to keep talking.
Right. That's okay. I get to keep talking. Okay. No leaks on art. So then I would basically start getting proactive in regards to what we have going on. And Seth would say, I have already sent a missive to Bo-Katan for the execution of Jacinta for heresy against the Inquisition. Now, Bo-Katan's justice is swift, but he could use some additional leg power. I'm not sure how you can assist or if you wish to, but I am giving you that information. Jacinta is not protected by the houses until she is played as the wild card. She is the wild card for the races.
Interesting. But on the scale of things, she's got value to me. I need her for trade in future. I don't want her eliminated.
You want a rogue trader you can rely on, Lucia.
Yeah, but if I can't have that, I just want a rogue trader.
You get to pick the next rogue trader as the governor of the world if this one is removed from the equation.
I'd like to be clear. Are you telling me the Inquisition will intervene with the High Lords of Terra so I can choose a rogue trader who will then work within this system?
I don't know what I'm saying as a player. Okay. I don't know what that shit means.
I know. So let me explain this to Tyler. So rogue traders, the only way to become a rogue trader and get permission to do all that stuff, the High Lords of Terra, which are like the 7 most important people in the entire Imperium, they all have to go like, and you get to be a rogue trader and stamp it. It's like priceless.
I thought rogue trader was like literally rogue, like no one tells me what to do kind of thing.
That's because the power gives them that. They're legally able to deal with Xenos, to travel beyond Imperium limits. Like they get a whole bunch. So it's like
it starts from like a hall pass. I thought it was more like, I thought it was more organic
badass.
than that, I guess.
No, it's literally it's a
Like,
hall
okay.
pass. Otherwise, you're
Okay.
just a merchant.
Okay. Then, sorry, that's not what I'm saying. That's not, yeah, okay, so that's not what
I think
Seth is
here's the
saying.
question: does he want to lie and have that be what he says?
No. As good as he is at lying, he doesn't need yet another like spinning plate to keep
Fair enough.
check to keep balance on. So he'd walk that back. He would say, your in with Jacinta is giving back money she only recently learned you have. You can buy her back with her father's own fortune.
Interesting. So you're telling me, all right, so I can interfere there as I wish to achieve my own goals, but she's going to come in theoretically hostile. All right, I can look
She
into
has committed heresy, though, and as Inquisition, it is my duty to report and enforce that. So there is a warrant out for her execution. Now,
of course, on the scale of things. But eventually there could be a trial. People could be found innocent. You know, information, things can disappear as need be. But yes, I understand what you're saying. She's hostile. It's a problem.
You should also know there appear to be indications that she and Marcus are aligning against us.
Well, I mean, that's what I'd do if I found out we were teaming up. I wouldn't try to take us on solo.
That is more of a hunch than actual evidence. I want to nip that one in the bud.
Well, that's why I sent you the information I had on the power armor. I didn't want to send you too much, but now we're fucked and they're teaming up against us anyway. So clearly that's Marcus. I figure you'll deal with that problem. I can just run the race and win.
Yes. What do you have planned for Marcus, by the way?
You?
Right. Well, in that case, Marcus is running ahead of you. Do steer clear of the rad hub when his runner enters. Don't go in until the dust settles.
Oh, I like that. All right. Yeah, that sounds fun. I like that a lot.
Now, if your runner's bodyguards deal with him before that, more the better. However, if through some act of God Emperor, his runner makes it out of an orbital bombardment on the rad hub, he needs to pass through your checkpoint, your starting point. Yes.
So I'll keep an eye out, but I'm telling you, I need you to deal with that because I've got runners. You know what? I'll move Maximilian around. He's a helpful fella. I'll put him in my bodyguard team. And then let's just say, you know, Jacinta's a wild card. And now Maximilian will be a wild card. So everybody's got their own little defender wandering around who can just be kind of fuckety over the adventure.
Very well. Do try to keep Maximilian? Excuse me. Do try to keep Maximilian on somewhat of a leash when our runner comes through your neighborhood, eh?
He's a reasonable fella. He's crazy, but he'll do his job. Yes, no, I'm imagining out of your party, you're not going to send the interrogator. The psyker's kind of useless. The psychopath's interesting, but I don't think he'll leave the psyker after the other thing. So it's probably the sister that's going to do the running, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think Maximilian would like her, so you're fine. It'd only if somebody thought it was a dick, it'd be a problem. So, yeah, this works.
All right. This wildcard is being played directly against you and I. There won't be any collateral damage against Marcus with Jacinta in his pocket, so to speak.
Well, you know, let me see whose pockets I can turn out and who I can just shoot through their pockets. I'm not great at metaphors right now, kind of spinning lots of information. I will see you on the field. And you know what? I'll do you a little favor. I'm going to go look in to see what I can find about who the fuck this power armor is for. Because I knew it was being shipped in, but I didn't know from where. That's why it was so vague. But now we're in it. I'll send you more information.
I'll send anything else your way as it comes up.
Perfect. She hangs up. And you feel like you've achieved, I think, more goals than any of us expected in that conversation.
Yeah, that was a lot of shit that I had to sling to make that work.
Nero, while all this has been happening, you have been out with Carl Carlson working on the Taurox. Let's do a tech use check, but we're going to use Carl's score and then add a little bit to you to be able to kind of pump that up because it's not like, and then Nero became a mechanic. So tech use, it'll be 3 yellow.
Okay.
Tech use is based off of intellect. What's your intellect score?
My intellect score is 3.
All right, so add another yellow and a green. So I'm just going to add yours straight on top of his.
Sure.
Because this won't be pretty, but it'll be functional. I'm going to say it's difficulty 4. It's just going to be 4 purple. I will use a story point to bump that up to just include 1 red. It's not so much that this is like a pass-fail on your ability to deal with the Torax or alter it. It's just how functional is it going to be, and how much can you get done in this amount of time, because it is a heavily armored vehicle.
Totally.
I will give you a boost. I would give you a boost because you know where it's going. You know you don't need a lot of turning, so it means you're able to kind of fuck around with the armor in ways that you otherwise wouldn't. If you're like, oh, I need a fully functional all-terrain vehicle, it'd be different. You don't need that.
Cool. Alrighty. In creating our Fast and Furious heist vehicle, 2 success, 2 threat.
You do manage to make an incredibly effective heist vehicle. The Torax, you strip the roof and the rear off of the armored cab, so it looks closer to a truck. It'll be easier for you to sneak it in. It's been crudely spray painted. What color do you think you'd go with to try to make something blend in a Mechanicus area? Right now it's black, but you'd obviously change that.
Probably just go with their standard, like strip the paint, so get a lot of gunmetal and a lot of that like crimson red shit that they're so fond of. But yeah, I want this to feel like it's a part of the factory.
Great. I will say Carl had brought a lot of oil for you to use on various pieces of work, and you just spray the vehicle down with it when you're done, so it's that same grimy Mechanicus feel. Yeah. Awesome. The rear. So the walls of the rear, the armored walls of the Torax are still there. There is no roof, so it is open-topped. However, they do go high enough up that, Mina, if you were just to if you were just to duck slightly, no one's going to get you from the side, but they could get you from above. The only thing you had to sacrifice for time is you had to take the whole rear off. So it's easy for Mina to come on, but she will need to face out the back. And if there's someone behind, they could theoretically fire into the vehicle. So
that's fair.
Again, you're moving fast, but that's the only factor there. So you all end up journeying back to the room. You all know what you've done. A suit of light power armor arrives that can be worn. The new weapons are dropped off. The Torax is prepared, and Seth has made promises. You're feeling confident knowing you have to head to this race because you're prepared and you know the things are coming. And then Seth, your data slate does its trill. And you look down and you see the message come in from Lucia Bane. And before you can turn it away, when you realize this could have a very negative effect on the group, an image displays. And above it, it just says, "This is Marcus's team." And below it, Sister Mina, you are horrified to see 4 fully armored Sisters of Battle.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter as Interrogator Nero Abagnale, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Piper Fairley, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Seth Corbyn, Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter as Sister Olianne Mina, and our Game Master Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's show logo was created by Decapitated Markers, at Decapitated Marker on Twitter, that's MRKR. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, provided by freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Lord Abradovic, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Cade Peters, Richard Cranium, Anna Zed, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Roman Brown, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice.
Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.